Okay, here we go. Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. What's up, Juicy Pursuer? I haven't seen you in a while, my man. What's up? What's up, Kels? Chris, we got to get you on tonight if you have some time. I'm looking forward to this week. Like, there's some important stuff we need to talk about. I'll wait to get into it. We'll do the introductions. Gennaro Gonzalez, all best from Mexico, my compadre. I think I saw you and your wife going to Ohio. Dude, like you live a very good life. So happy to see you guys doing good. I'm pretty sure that's you. I always like seeing what you're doing on Instagram. What's up, Pound? How you feeling about your boys this week? Your 49ers, after Sunshine took you to the woodshed. But yeah, man, but about that Vikings game last week, that was one where I could not see it on Tuesday, and as the week went on, I felt better and better. But I also feel like people are overreacting to everything, and I'm not here to win like the clout Olympics, but damn, I was right on Aaron Rodgers. And I took it as a personal insult when people were calling him old after that Monday night game. It's like they weren't searching for analysis, they were just searching for a take, and they were judging him so unfairly. It was absolutely heinous and ridiculous. Like, this man put in so much work to get back, and then people are saying he sucks after the 49ers game where he looks old. And, if it happened at Sunday at 1 in Tennessee, I would understand because no one can watch 10 games at 1 o'clock. So we get a Chiefs game at 4:30. We know how the NFL works. But it was on Monday night, first week of the season. Everyone was buckled in watching that. Everyone was watching that who even cares about football. And the lazy takes about Rodgers damn near drove me up a cliff. And I was happy with what he did last night. But the point I said after that 49ers game still stands. I have never seen him with this type of velocity on his throws. He looks fine in the pocket, and he was moving around last night like 5 years ago, Aaron Rodgers. You guys remember his last 3 years with the Packers? He's just, everything would be a check down, and he wouldn't even move, and he wouldn't take any risk. I told you guys, this Aaron Rodgers to the Jets thing has the minute it happened, it had me feeling when the Vikings brought in Brett Favre from the Jets, and everyone said the same things. It's literally the same things, copy, paste. They're different men in different situations at different time periods in this league, but it's copy, paste. Even the first game Brett Favre had, we played a Cleveland Browns team when we had Adrian Peterson. And, Vikings were only laying 3 with a squad that was completely stacked in all the key positions you want. And Favre threw it for 120, and they said he was done. But all he needed to do was hand it off to Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson had like an 85-yard run, broke like 4 tackles, and the defense gave up 6 points. And you play to the game you're playing. And I was really peeved off that no one saw that Rodgers' brilliance against the Titans. He was absolutely brilliant in the second half against them, and that secondary isn't easy. And we'll talk about that Packers game tonight. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is all that great. I don't think he's as bad as people say. I feel like that Patriots offense has underperformed every metric this year, and it's just the Jets defense getting used to football again. And I'm excited about it. My audio is shit. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. Oh, fuck. Because it wasn't my microphone. Let me just start the stream again. My bad about that. I'm gonna just start the stream again. Let me start the stream again. I'll be back in like 1 minute. My bad about that. My bad about that. Okay, yeah, actually, let's just roll with. Oh fuck, bro. I wanted to get that Rogers take. Yeah, let's just start it again. Nah, let's go with it. Let's go with it. Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah. So, anyways, fuck, man. I wanted to get that Rogers takeout. I was fucking beating my chest. Um, what's up, man? What's up, man? Yeah, we're good. So let's get into it. The two big stories I personally need to talk about today. There's two things that are on my mind. I feel good about the Finns this week. I believe I had them to cover on the show, but the more this week is moving on and the more I'm able just to decompress after what we witnessed on Thursday against the Bills, I feel like we need to talk about that. We also need to talk about this Steelers situation. I think there's questions on Patreon dealing with it, but I feel like we need to get this out of the way because I felt like guilty. Um, because I'm not normally one to run and say lock something in, but I was doing that with the Steelers -2. And then I saw it drop to -1.5, -1. And I did feel nervous. Like I'm not going to budge from a game because of weird line movement or quote unquote the sharps are doing something. I'm not going to jump from a game because one of our college fun games last year, people were trying to talk me out of it based on that. Like it was the Niners Jags game. But anyways, to make a long story short, -2. I'm telling people to lock it in. That's a good price for Pittsburgh home Heinz Field. We got the Chargers team that just isn't performing well on offense. That's one thing people aren't taking into account. And so I'm looking at this game and I'm seeing everything tilting the Steelers. But finally, today, once limits were reduced, once people can bet big, the line moved where I thought it should be at Steelers -3. And if you have to get it in late, I'm fine with it. I think that is going to be a good play. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to talking about that game. Um, Yeah, what's up, Knox? What's up? What's up, Chris? Yeah, man, and okay, that's good. I just need to get that Rogers take out because the the stuff saying like he can't play or he looked old on Monday night, I felt personally offended. Like because I know two people can watch the same movie and see different things, and that's the beauty of football, of analyzing stuff. But I just didn't know how people were taking he looks old out of that equation. And the offense was absolutely phenomenal. The under hit, the Jets -6 hit. And that's why I let off with that show. Like, don't care, still betting Jets. Like, once you believe in a team, you kind of have to go with them until the market catches up. And the market has caught up to one team we like, the Lions, but I feel like that's an interesting spot at -3. But let's get into the Fins, man. I'm kind of feeling good about the Fins this week. I feel like I have a pretty good read on the game script. I don't mind betting under, and I will go under on player props. I know people don't feel comfortable with that, or it's just going under on a point spread. But when I look at that 41.5, that's way too low for me. That's way too low. And this Seahawks defense just isn't playing all that great. My expectations weren't matched. And obviously, the Seahawks defense is going to continue improving throughout the year, but I was kind of disappointed with it. And I was disappointed with what they put on film against the Patriots. And I was kind of disappointed what they put on film against the Broncos week 1. And also, I'm sure Stat Guy can come in here. We got Rake Flyer in here, although he won't respond to me. Uh, One thing that does bother me a little bit, actually quite a bit, is people thinking this Seahawks home field is something to be feared. Like it's not 5, 6, 8 years ago. Like Russell Wilson isn't coming out there with the Legion of Boom, where that's a long way away from being a tough place to play. We've gone in there and we grabbed many spreads where they're laying points, and I think 4.5 is too much on the fans. I think Steelers -3. I wouldn't want to be getting it at -3, but I don't think that's bad as well. So, um, Jared, I'm not like Jared. I'm not a closeted Steeler fan. People actually criticize. People thought I was against them. It's just I'm against bad projects. I'm against people like Russell Wilson being handed jobs on a silver plate. I want to see Justin Fields have a fair competition and earn the job. And there's a lot of stuff in the Steelers organization like I don't like. I feel like they don't go outside and hire enough guys outside. Like that's how Matt Canada got in that position at offensive coordinator. That's how you draft a guy like Kenny Pickett. Although you could have like Bill Walsh developing Kenny Pickett, we knew he was a dud. Like if you didn't know he was a dud, you were just on hopium. But you bring in Arthur Smith and you bring in Justin Fields, and I felt some inspiration. Like I felt like something needed to shake up there. They finally did it, and this defense is insane. It's insane. And I got to be honest, like my dad was texting me during the Chiefs Bengals game, and yeah, it was a great game to watch. It was beautiful, but honestly, I was glued to Steelers Broncos. Of course, you can have the two games on, but I was glued to Steelers Broncos. The way they played, the way they got under Bo Nix's skin was absolutely phenomenal. And that leads us to another thing where we didn't overreact about Atlanta. I don't know what they were saying on TV. I haven't heard much talk about that Monday night game before the game, but I told you guys I'm bullish on Atlanta. I still got them to win the NFC South. I had them to win the NFC South after the Steelers beat their ass, and not enough people were giving the Steelers credit for that game. And I know it only ended 18-10. I know kicking 6 field goals is cringe, and I know no one likes doing that, but Justin Fields showed really good signs in that game. And 18, that was about as dominant as an 18-10 performance you're going to ever see. And that scoreline does not do anything for what transpired on the film. So, um, yeah, they're going to do these big betting companies are taxing people on their winnings. Like, yeah, we need to go in there. Go into that when you come on, Johnny, if you can get on tonight. Okay, so let's get to the first Patreon question, then we'll get the guests on. We got some good Patreon questions tonight, so got them brought up. Okay, let's start with okay, Joe Souza asked, John, are you going live for Thursday night games? I will go live for some games. I will. I didn't have plans for the Thursday night one, but I will go live more this year. Last year when we had the Saturday games, I made sure I went live. One day I went live for all three. But maybe Thursday night is good. On Discord, we're live betting primetime games. So we're trying to lay out like some sort of plan. And I like live betting when I have a plan laid out. And sometimes on YouTube that goes a dud, but I'm not going to force anything. And I'm not going to bring you guys into a situation where you get ambushed. I'm not going to do that, even though it's good content. But yeah, if there's a Thursday night game where I have a legit plan, I had a legit plan for the Falcons Eagles game, but it didn't really go the way I exactly wanted. I wanted the Falcons to get down and pound the Falcons plus money. But yeah, you got some of them ended up just taking that advice and just going Falcons money line, what was 3-0 or during halftime. Okay. Yeah, I asked a question on Patreon. Yeah, I'm going to be posting an under this week. I already made up my mind. But yeah, Charles Kaiser, watching unders are brutal. Don't watch it. Just look for final score. Yeah, they are brutal to watch. They are. Imagine if you had to sweat through that Panthers Chargers one we had on Patreon last week. Okay, here we go. And what's up, Joe DeSouza? Canyon Wiz, 4 team, 13-point teaser on Instagram. We're 1-1 so far, Lawson. Let's get this. Yeah. And this is, and I don't like posting the 13-point teasers because I think they work out to minus 130. But I've been doing this with Canyon Wiz for at least 2 years, and it's been profitable every single year. Every single year, it's profitable. We got a good one this week. Matthew Stallworth, Brother Lawson, blessed that I stumbled across your videos on YouTube last year and was immediately sold by your energy, transparency, and insight. We were hitting. And when we didn't, we learned and approached the next week with a fresh slate. Love your commitment to the grind, the hustle, and the work you put in. Keep rolling, my brother. Hope you and your wife well. Yeah, man, we're doing great. And thank you guys for getting on Patreon because yeah, man, you guys saw what happened to the algorithm. I'm not gonna even really get into it because like listen, like your guys' generosity on Patreon is through the roof. So I appreciate it. And I still think this is going to be our biggest season ever. I'm feeling very confident about it. And like also like a lot of my algorithm is like NFL scripted guys. And honestly, man, like I conspiracy gets people's heads going, and I get it. Like you watch a train hit a person, people are going to watch that. Just another example of I almost like reptile brain. And yeah, like everyone wants to believe stuff is scripted, but also it's like a fucking loser's mentality. I feel like anyone who comes on and makes a YouTube video saying the NFL is scripted is a fucking loser and has a loser mentality. And if you looked into their life, they would probably have other problems, like because it's not even worth debating. Next question from Derek. Hey John, hope your week is going well. It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good. If you had to take off 2 games of this 6.5 point teaser, which two would they be? Houston plus 4.5. I think you're good getting a field goal. Like Vikings are dangerous, but I'm actually against my Vikings this week. I don't know if I have the courage to bet it. Like we had the Vikings 2 weeks straight on Patreon. Like, yeah, I'm enjoying milking it. I'm enjoying Sunshine Sam Darnold. I just don't know if I want to lay our flag down with that. And I feel like Houston has had a slow start to the season considering the results. They still should have covered last week. I like the Houston at plus 4.5. Philly plus 9. I like it. I'm not being walked off this. Some of you guys might walk me off from betting it, and I appreciate the advice on the Discord. Um, and you guys might have accomplished that, and you guys have a point. But also, I feel like maybe we're overrating the Saints. I like the Philly plus 9, Detroit plus 3.5. Yeah, man, I think at worst, Detroit loses this game by a field goal. I think it's going to be a close game. I just can't see Detroit not showing up. And this defense has to evolve. Like it's starting to look like the defense. Remember the year we made a ton of money on the Lions when they started 1-6 and they ended up not getting to the playoffs. The secondary is starting to look like that, but I think there's talent there and there's young players. So I like Detroit plus 3.5. Nothing from me there. San Fran, bring it down to a pick 'em. I like that. Um, that game is going to be strange though, with all the players missing. So let me just put a damper in the San Fran plus 0 right now. KC plus 3.5. Buffalo plus 1.5. Cincy minus 1. I like bringing Cincy down. I would take off that Buffalo, and I would also take off Kansas City. Like, listen, do I think the Falcons are going to beat the Chiefs by more than 3 points? No, but I actually think it's possible. Like, if there's ever a time to play Kansas City with these injuries, this is the time. I just don't want to get against it, even though I'm a big Falcons guy. Buffalo plus 1.5, you have to throw that out. That's risque. And I don't know. I'm not even high on the Jags this year. Like one guy on NFL Network I actually respect, Bucky Brooks, one of the few, was saying he thinks the Jags can win the AFC South. And, I was like, okay, that's ridiculous. This Texans team is another team that reminds me of when my Vikings got Brett Favre. Like they got great players in the key positions you need. Texans are probably might be in a better situation the way things are going. Um, but with Buffalo plus 1.5, I just think it's going to be an Alamo situation from the Jags. It has to be. I mean, if they lose this game, they're done. They are done. And there's a lot invested in that team. And I think they can deal with the Bills. And I think that they can deal with this Bills secondary. I'm curious to see how that transpires. I don't know if I have the gumption or it's just boldness right now to get with the Jags at +5. But my first reaction was go Jags there. Like I feel like that's a good spread. Um, so yeah, Derek. I hope I answered your question. Cora shot. Would you rather take Bucks -6.5 or Browns -6.5? Man, my instinct is to go Browns. Like I just went Browns last week against the Jags, just because my instinct is to go Browns, and I feel like sometimes they're a little undervalued. Although what the Cowboys did to them week 1 certainly leaves you thinking. With the Bucks, I think there's a lot of public money on the Bucks. Like, I mean, I saw a graph yesterday that showed like 95% of the bets were on the Bucks and Raiders this week, like a 95 to 5% split, if that makes sense to you guys. And I can't say I'm in love with that. And I also think the Broncos can respond. Like I can see a world, and the Bucks have a lot of injuries. I was talking to Jarrett Hart, a Bucks fan, this week. He says they're going into this game banged up. I would rather take the Browns, but I'm kind of biased. I imagine like a lot of tickets will have Bucks -6.5. It's a dangerous spread. Like you saw it with the Texans last week against the Bears. They completely dominated the Bears, and what did they come up with? Maloof, the king lost, and last night was a big hit. Yeah, on Patreon, I just said, listen, I know you guys are going to bet it. I know you guys, like, I have the Jets to cover. I just said, I know you guys are going to bet it. I don't know what they're giving for 2 team teasers now. When I used to do them, when they used to allow you to do them on the gambling sites for the 6 point teasers, you'd get like a -105, -110, -110, which is fine, like a normal bet. Absolutely love it. Um, but I don't know what they're giving you. But yeah, I felt like the advice last night was just to bring the Jets down to a pick 'em, bring that 38.5 up to 44.5 and ride with it. And Braylon Allen was phenomenal last night, by the way. How do you feel about Skull beating the Texans? Looks good to me. Because the Vikings have the 2 good tackles, the 2 good bookends to deal with Daniel Hunter and deal with Will Anderson. Like, I feel like that's something that needs to be done immediately if you're thinking about competing with the Texans. And Aaron Jones has been a phenomenal safety blanket for Sam Darnold. But with that being said, I, I I do think the Vikings are a man short in that pass catching crew without Hawkinson. And I think the Texans personnel can put the Vikings in harder positions. Um, Defensively, this is where I think it makes the game a toss up, because Brian Flores is coaching his mind off. And I think that is the takeaway. Like I just don't know how good this Vikings defense is going to be. They've been absolutely phenomenal. So I do wonder if the Texans get their run game going, can they control the zone blitz of the Vikings? So I would lay off the Vikings this week. But even if the Texans get pressure, I'm not trying to like go 50-50. I think Vegas did a good job with this one. I don't think there's something we can exploit. But even if the Texans get pressured, the thing that impressed me most about Sam Darnold so far has been his ability to stay in the pocket. And he's faster than he looks. He's tougher than he looks. Maybe he got tougher. His confidence certainly is through the roof. And Kevin O'Connell played quarterback in this league, was a third stringer. But man, like he just gives Sam Darnold confidence. And that's the most important thing. Okay. Let's see. Yo, you guys. Okay, we got 140 people in here. Thank you for the super chat from BMSD. Appreciate it, my guy. Yeah, Saints win. Yeah, Daryl. I mean, like Saints are the favorite this game. I mean, they're a favorite for a reason, but also I don't know if you want to overreact to the stimuli of the Eagles blowing that game because there were three crucial errors the Eagles made just in the second half. Let's not get to the first half on the 4th and 4. For some reason, the Eagles got away from the run game. A lot of that was rhythm killing penalties, but you clean things up, and the Saints never really had any resistance in these games. Is this Kubiak offense for the Saints protecting Carr better? Yes, but the big part of that Cowboys game, which I watched, it wasn't really the pass game. It was them just pounding it at the Dallas defensive tackle position, and Dallas always struggles when they don't have the lead. And I'm not taking anything away from the Saints. I just don't know if these vulnerabilities are all that fixed. And it's a completely different scheme, and it's obviously helping Carr out. But yeah, man. What's up, Nick? What's up, Nick? I didn't get to your message on Instagram, my guy. My bad about that. What's up, JJ? Hello, Lawson. Bless you and your family. Take care. Thank you, JJ. Great to see you, man. Lauren Kaiser. Lauren, Michael Mann was trying to meet you. He's driving to Pensacola, and he said you ghosted him. You know, um, you know, I don't know if you ended up answering him, but Michael Mann had to go to Pensacola. Okay, here we go. Charles Kaiser, how are we feeling this week? What's up with the movement with the Steelers, Chargers -2.5? Charles, like we were saying in the Discord, we might as well chalk that up to -3. We might as well chalk that up to -3 because it's -2.5, -120. That's going to -3, and it's where it needs to be. I think this is them lifting the limits on Friday, like Johnny Gunn said in Discord, and people with big money are going on the Steelers. And also, we knew Herbert was hurt going into this game. Like he had plantar fasciitis week 1 of training camp. And I told everyone he got rolled up really bad in that Panthers game, I believe in the second half. Like Easton had to come out and take a few snaps, if I remember correctly. And also, I think people, if you want to put big money on a game, you want to do your research. Like, listen, some people say I don't bet. Like when I posted the bet I made, one guy was like, "Is that Indian rupees?" Like, no, it's like Brazilian. It's Brazilian reais. Like, okay, like I'm not betting in rupees. Like, I wanted to go through and just, yeah, I wanted. It's just like, okay, like don't be disrespectful. Like you're trying to own me. Like you're just ignorant. Um, and so yeah, man, I did my research in this game, and like I told you, this Chargers offense in every single metric, they just haven't been good enough. Whether it be the pass game, I don't think. And if you look at the run game before the big Dobbins run, after Antonio Pierce gave away the game, until that big Dobbins run for 85 yards, where the Raiders were in an all-out run blitz and they got hit on the wrong side, caught with their pants down. The Chargers didn't run it well against the Raiders. And do I think the Raiders are good defense? I do. I've been saying that since the training camp. But I think this Chargers team struggles. And Harbaugh is a good coach, but he's not facing Dave Canales and Bryce Young this week. Also, an important fact when you talk about the Chargers. Um, Look at how Harbaugh's coaching. They got the ball on a team's 48-yard line and they're punting on 4th and 1. And they've done that about 6 times so far this year. And that's just not this new age NFL how you do things. And even the Steelers are more aggressive than that. And I felt like we saw Justin Fields' performance against the Broncos backing up everything I said. The deep ball looks good. He looks comfortable. The offense looks like they know. It looks like Arthur Smith is vibing. And we said last year, if you give me Justin Fields on the Falcons last year, that's an 11-win team. And I'm not glazing Justin Fields, but I was excited by how he approached this Steelers situation. And he has his limitations. Absolutely. Like, I'm not here trying to paint some sort of alternative reality, but this is a good situation for a quarterback in the Steelers. They had another receiver. This could be a not a very good offense, but a good offense. But right now, I think they're right about average, and the offensive line is holding up. And I think this Chargers defense is overrated. Like one guy saying, Bosa and Mack are going to come for Justin Fields. What is this, 2019? Is this 2018? When they were both like elite players and Joey Bosa, he spends more time on the training table and Khalil Mack is like an above average defensive end in the league right now. Well, where's the rest of the defense? And also just some perspective about that Chargers Panthers game. Like, I don't mean to bore anyone, but there was a point in that game where Bryce Young was, I think he was like 8 of 14 with 22 passing yards. I don't think that stat line is even possible in Pop Warner, let alone the NFL. So I think the Chargers had, listen, I give them credit for grinding out the game against the Raiders. I mean, but Minshew did drop a ball when they were about to at least get a field goal where it was going to make it 10-3 before halftime. And it was like a fucking 10-point shift because Minshew was no one around him, and he goes to throw it, and it just falls out. Chargers get a big return. So I think there's perspective that needs to be set. Also, the two-team teaser, Bucks Browns, bring both games down to a half a point. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'll be honest, I don't have a great read of the Bucks. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good read of the board right now, but I'm not reading the Bucks as well as I probably should be. And I'm not. So you guys probably know better than me on that one. Although I had the Bucks to cover last week, but like Bucks plus 7.5, plus 8. Like, I'm the biggest Lions guy there is. But come on now. That's just a mistake. Yeah, I have seen. Yeah, Lauren, I have seen Cleveland's injuries. I'm more like looking at that game from like an under standpoint. Myles Garrett's going to play though, so that's the big factor for me. Yeah, I don't have the read on the Bucks, and like I'm not going to go with the read that people are saying they're elite. Like I'm not, like, for instance, I thought the Jets were an elite team. Did the San Fran game like stymie me a little bit? Absolutely, it does. But I still felt like they were an elite team. I just don't know how to react to this Buccaneers stimuli. I really don't. I think it's a safe pick. I'm glad we got it in earlier in the week with the Steelers Chargers game. I wonder where it's going to move out to. And yeah, if Herbert plays with a high ankle, and he's already got plantar fasciitis too, like he's already not doing much. And then you got their best receiver, Palmer, which we took advantage of on the prop show. I don't think he's even close to full health. I just don't. My sports book limited my bet on the Steelers, not allowing me to bet more than 100. Randy, did that happen early in the week or today? Jerome Taylor, hey Lawson just signed up on Patreon. Let's get this money. Thank you, Jerome. Yeah, I saw you joined last night. I appreciate it, my guy. You'll like it. So feeling good about this week. I'm just not I just don't know and this is just to go back to this Bucks Broncos game. Um I Is there any reason why I shouldn't bet the Bucks? There's just something in me saying like I don't want to, and I don't really know why. Lauren says she talked to Mike. She's going to see him. Okay, I didn't want to put her out there like that. Okay, so okay, okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, it's just not put it in. Yeah, because Randy, that's going to -3 any second. Yeah, yeah, Lauren, like the Bucks are really beat up. Like, isn't Vita Vey out with an MCL? And I don't think he's the type who's going to play with it. Has anyone seen an update on Jordan Love? I would someone go on the internet and say that. Caveman Luke, sup Lawson, looking for a 2-team money line parlay. Who would take between Bucks, Browns, Bengals, Chiefs? Give me Bengals and give me Browns. It's not going to be the best odds, Luke, but those are the choices you gave me. Yeah, if you didn't get hit in Survivor week 1 with the Bengals, I also think the Bengals are a good Survivor one. Ace Hick, hey Lawson, hit with Wilson, forced touchdown of the season. Some other notable guys who haven't scored this season are Amon-Ra, Bijan, Rashad White, and Aya. What do you think? Whew. That's a good question. I want to go Bijan, but how good are the odds on a Bijan touchdown? Like, are we getting like -130? I kind of agree with what Johnny said last week. Like, listen, I posted a lot of props last week that were -110. And like there was ones I was strong about, like Malik Willis and the Palmer, because I had because I had information. But yeah, I would go Amon-Ra this week. And I'm surprised Rashad White hasn't scored a touchdown for the Bucks yet. He's playing phenomenal. But I would go Amon-Ra because I think this Cardinals secondary is quite vulnerable. Goff hasn't looked all that great. The desert's a really tough place to play, but I think the Lions respond. I really do. I think they respond from what happened against Tampa Bay, and we have to give Tampa Bay a lot of credit against the Lions. But I think Lions come out, and I think they do well offensively. The thing about the Lions that worries me, like I said, is the secondary right now, and I want to see quite a bit of development this week. Still thinking if I'm going to bet the Lions game. Still thinking about it. Arizona's dangerous. Kyler Murray's dangerous. Listen, and I should have took my own advice. Like, I'm low on the Rams. Like, I picked the Cardinals to finish second in that division over the Rams. But once the matchup came out, I just didn't have the gumption. Just didn't have the gumption to do it. And that's why I'm just gonna go with the preseason power rankings a lot more. Once we get to week 4, we gotta adjust. I've been adjusting quite a bit, but not going overboard. OZJ AJ Brown is out against the Saints. Yeah, I assume so. I never factored him playing into my analysis. RJ, hey John, how are you feeling about the Lions bounce back this weekend? Do you think they cover the 3? I do. Like, I think you can run it against the Cardinals, and I don't fear their pass rush. Although Gardecki and Zaven Collins, like, they're interesting guys, and they're high effort guys and high quickness guys who can cause you some problems. But are they going to cause the best offensive line in the league problems? Like, a lot of people say, like, the Colts have the best offensive line in the league. I don't know if I'm sold on that. Like, I'm not sold on the Colts having the best offensive line in the league. But I think this Lions offensive line can win that battle, and Goff has to respond. But also, the Lions need to get back to smash mouth football. Like, let's take the ball out of Goff's hands. Let's do what they did in overtime against the Rams. Like, did the Lions even throw it on that like 8 play drive? They just slammed it down their throat. And I think that's what you do against Zona. They're weak in the defensive tackles, and I think you can push them around, and they better push them around because if they, the Lions are always a team where a game can turn into a shootout at any second. And okay, great, but you also want to just go back to what kind of got this team going in the right direction, running the ball down fucking people's throats, throwing play action, get Amon Ra in the slot, and get Jamison Williams going deep. And that's what you do. And I want to see more Jamison Williams this year. I know he has character issues or whatever he was suspended for. He's came in this league. He hasn't hit the ground running, but he's an absolute weapon and he has rare speed. And I feel like he's a guy Goff needs to work the ball more. Not sure why he's not involved in the game plan. Someone give me an injury report update for the Lions Zona, please, in the YouTube chat. Nicholas Vincent. Hey, Lawson, you think the Vikings cover +8 in a teaser? Thanks for all the great picks every year. Nick, I do. I don't hate the Vikings as a teaser option. I don't. Like, this Flores defense is playing so great right now. And I know the Vikings, they're limited talent-wise on defense, but, like, there's 2 players I want to focus on. I want to focus on Josh Metellus. I don't even know what position he plays. I think the best way to define his position is rover because he plays linebacker, safety. I've seen him at slot corner before, and I feel like he's the most underappreciated defensive player in this league and maybe the most underrated player in this league other than offensive linemen that no one care about. And like Dallas Turner, the Falcons giving the Vikings that gift by passing on him. I mean, look at what Flores is doing. Like, they're getting a pass rush and they don't have that many dogs up there. Like, let's be honest, but Dallas Turner's a dog. Johnny Gonzalez, there's no way the Ravens go 0-3. Ha. There is no guarantees in this league. Let's talk about it. Why hasn't the line gotten bigger? This would be a solid market play. Be cautious. I'm going to be on a little late, but I'll be in the chat. Yeah, Johnny, yeah, we got to get you on today and to talk about line movement too. But also, and we got to get Coop on. I wonder if Coop's going to come on. I talked to him earlier, and we got to get Lauren on, and we got to get Chris on. So I'm almost through the Patreon questions, but also, Johnny, you kind of summed up something that bothers me. And I almost had that same take about the game. Well, Ravens can't go 0-3. Well, why not? Well, why not? The other guys aren't going to say, oh, fuck. If the Ravens go 0-3, their season's over. Like, the other guys are going to play too. And I just, like, and I'm not going to overreact to teams being boat raced. Is it rare in the NFL? Absolutely. Does anyone like being boat raced and blown out? No, it's the worst feeling in the world, and it creates dramatic feelings. Like, I understand, and it's good to have a little bit of drama in life and not be stoic. But I do think, there's anomalies and outliers, and I got to say, Cowboys getting blown out against the Saints is the definition of a statistical outlier. There's no way the Saints are 30 points better than the Cowboys or whatever the final score was. And yeah, and this Ravens team struggling at key positions, like the right side of the offensive line's getting their ass kicked. And, the Browns, I got caught a little bit flat-footed because I thought we'd have Conklin at right tackle in week 1. I was reading into the injury. I'm pretty good at it, but I have my limitations. Thought we'd have Conklin at right tackle, and the Cowboys absolutely whipped their ass. on that right side, and it was an absolutely a flurry of just dominance. And yeah, man, I think this Ravens offense, I think they're a little bit basic too. I'm still going Ravens because I'm still going Ravens because I think this Dallas underbelly of the team is weak defense tackle. I do. Like, I felt like that was the key takeaway from last week's game. The only real thing we can learn from it. But yeah, man, I don't think anyone should be betting this game. I really don't. But I like Johnny Gonzalez's take in Discord where he said, like, this is an over situation. I would just go for the points in this game, go over. I think it's going to come down to like the last series. Like, I'd be shocked if this wasn't a one score game. I know that's not me crazy saying it because what is it like? I've always know the '90s stats, but in the '90s it was like 81% of games are one score games. So I yeah, man, I I know people like getting against the Cowboys, but also like, you know, if you can't block, it's tough to win against the Cowboys. Ask my Minnesota Vikings when the Vikings were flying high, beating the Bills on the road, beating damn near every team they played against. And you get the Cowboys, and Darashog has an injury, O'Neal has an injury, and the Cowboys beat their ass 37-3. And the Vikings couldn't get anything going at all. And that's an O'Connell offense. And I do wonder if Lamar's a little bit banged up after these last 2 weeks. Okay, this is from Kels. Lawson, what's up? How are we looking at this Dallas game? Okay. Yeah, Kels, I kind of went into it. Cal said something funny in the question. I gotta read that. Will they give the Ravens their first win on the board with Dallas having the guaranteed win next week with the Giants? That's what the Giants have evolved to, man. And there's lots of good players on the Giants defense. And I was trying to tell my dad, like, this Giants front is good. One reason why, like, I was excited about Sam Darnold going against the 49ers. I just like the way the Vikings dealt with the front of the Giants. But this Giants front's not even playing all that good. I got to be honest. Like, Dexter Lawrence is one of my favorite players in the league. Outside of him, is any of these guys on the Giants front, Thibodeau, Brian Burns, playing good football? I want to just focus on the YouTube chat. Like, I want some feedback on some of this shit. But okay. Chris Claustow, what's up, Chris? After 2 weeks, the money changers in Vegas have the majority of gambles right where they want. I think they do. Only a few like Lawson have a grip on what's happening. Thank you, Chris. I think so, man. Like with the Jets, I know what's going on. And I'll admit, like, I don't know what's going on with the Bucks, for instance. Yeah, and there's like some teams I feel like I don't have a read on. Like, I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do. Like I said last week, I just said Bengals cover, Chiefs win, and moved on. But yeah, man, I kind of feel like we got Vegas where we want them on 2 games, especially this week. Okay, here we go. And okay, here we go. Okay, Rate Flyer, are you going to send me those your advanced statistics site? JSUP, what's up? What's up, J Law? Texans -2.5 at our and money line. My favorite player of the week. I kind of like the Texans too. I kind of got there. I'm not low on the Vikings. Like, I think Vikings are going to get to where I want them to be as a fan. But yeah, I listen. Like, Vikings kind of have a murderer's row in this first 6-7 weeks. Like, I don't know the schedule offhand, but if you gave me 2-1 at the start of the season with the schedule, I would have bit your hand off. And I also don't think I think the Texans are playing their C+ game. We're going to get Coop on. Michael Killens, I agree. Dexter Lawrence needs out. Um, yeah, like and JSEP says like the Vikings are in a sandwich game and they got the Packers on deck. Yeah, kind of feel like it is. And yeah, I'm curious because, like I said, like the reason why I'm not running to bet the Texans is because I feel like the Vikings can block these two defensive ends. And I think Will Anderson, we don't even know how good he's going to be. I'm not trying to gush about him. I told you guys about Stingley. He would be great this year in the secondary. Looks phenomenal so far. But yeah, like Will Anderson's a guy, like even if you have Darisaw, it's tough. That's a tough matchup. That's a tough one, but I agree with you. And like we've seen like maybe like C plus Stroud, and we factored that in to the equation. Like I think Stroud's going to have up and down this year. He's still going to be phenomenal, but he's not going to be just completely taking over games like against the Colts when we had that bet for them to get in the playoffs. So I think it's an interesting game, man. Justin, I Justin, I wouldn't lay that -6 against the Panthers, but I've gotten caught with my pants down about the Panthers this year, and I just don't know if that's the easiest bet. Like, and I don't know if the money has changed. Someone update me in the chat, but I don't know if anything has changed. But 95% of the bets are in the Raiders to cover and the Buccaneers to cover, and I just don't know if it's that easy. I just don't know. I don't know. Last time Andy Dalton played for the Panthers, they got into the high 30s at Seattle. And it's another reason why I said like I think the Finns are very live to win the game this week, going on the road even without Tua. And I got triggered today. I got triggered today again about Tua. People are mad that he's traveling with the team because he had a concussion. Like, so he should just like stay in bed, stay in a bubble, and he can't get on an airplane, a fucking chartered flight, and put his seat back, and he can't sleep and go to the game. I got that was one thing that triggered me today. People just want him in a house on a recliner so bad. They they just do, and I I I don't get it. Listen, I just don't get it. Um, yeah, and Carolina stopped the run pretty good last week against the Chargers. And I think if you stop the run against the Raiders, I do like Zamir White props this week. But yeah, okay. Okay. So how are we going to do this? Johnny, do you want to come on with Lauren, and I'll get Coop on? And Chris, is Chris going to come on today? I'm not sure. I think he got busy, but we'll see. So let me just see if we missed any Patreon questions. Then I'll get Coop on. And yeah, and Coop was good in props last week once again. And also like I feel like he's on the mark with it. Okay, Jordan Love. Yeah, okay. So Chris, we can just assume Jordan Love's gonna play. Like, I feel like that. Um, okay, okay. This is from Joe DeSouza. Okay, so all these are straight bets, no parlays. New Orleans to cover, Bills to cover, Evans under 665.5. I like that of it. I like that Evans under. I like that Evans under. And no one likes when I post unders, but it can go over and under. What's wrong with going under? My bad, guys. My bad. That probably wasn't good for you. Pittsburgh to cover 2.5. Zone in Detroit. Joe, you didn't trust me when I posted it Tuesday at -2. You didn't trust me. Joe. Zona and Detroit over 51.5. That one seems easy, but I don't know. I don't know. I just think Detroit needs to run the ball a hell of a lot more. But not I have 27-24 in that game. So I can't say I disagree. San Fran and Rams under total under 43. I think that is good. Although I love some, there's two over unders I really like this week. But that one makes a lot of sense. This is from Golly. Hey, Lawson, which team has surprised you the most, for better or worse, in regards to what you thought from preseason? Okay, this is a good question. Vikings have surprised me quite a bit, but just with Sam Darnold. But let's put that to one side. I'm surprised. I did say I was worried about the Ravens' offensive line, but I am surprised how much they struggled. I was surprised about the thing that surprised me the most. I was surprised about Mike McDaniel buckling last Thursday. I wasn't surprised about losing a game to Josh Allen, but I was surprised by how he buckled. That was something that surprised me. Um, Now let's go to a team that surprised me. I'm trying to think. I felt like the Colts would suck. That under 8.5 was up on Patreon. Yeah, the easy answer is the Saints. I'm surprised. I know Kubiak has a great lineage. He worked with the Vikings when the Vikings had the worst offensive line in the league and made them presentable so Sam Bradford can throw it. But I'm surprised at how good the blocking angles, the play action are for the Saints. That's one thing that's surprising me quite a bit. And I was surprised by the Broncos. I felt like Bo Nix was a forced draft pick. It reminded me of the Christian Ponder draft pick by my Minnesota Vikings. But I'm surprised Sean Payton hasn't had more up his sleeve in terms of play calling. The two games I watched, just they weren't necessarily putting him in great spaces, even though we know that offensive line is better running the ball. And I'm trying to think of another team. Trying to think of another team because I'm kind of scattered around here. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I would probably say like Sean Payton's play calling surprised me quite a bit, and I was surprised that the Patriots were presentable the first 2 weeks, but then again, like they kind of went back down to reality. Um, Cows, Lawson, what's up? Okay, I think I got every Patreon question. So let's get Coop on. Got my Discord up now. Um, okay, we'll get Coop on and we'll get Johnny and Lauren on, and then we'll get Chris on if he's still there. I think Michael Mann is traveling. Um, but yeah, like I think we're kind of like had on like some of the Panther stuff. So good to get an extra week. I think he's actually had it too, to be honest. And if I missed your Patreon question, let me know. But I'm pretty sure I got everyone. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, sending the link. No, but Justin, I don't know how much to say about the 49ers this week. I don't. Like I really don't. Like I like maybe teasing the Rams up in that game. I think the 49ers win the game. I don't have much to say about the 49ers this week because aren't Kittle and McCaffrey out of that game? And is Debo gonna play? But I think we got three starters on the Rams offensive line out now. So what do we make of that? Because I was worried about that going in the Cardinals game, but man, like no Bloom, like on IR. I'm just, and like I said, like I don't think this 49ers front is as good as it was like 3-4 years ago when they came to prominence, but they're still a dangerous front. And I don't know if I want to be rolling in there with like three practice squad type guys. Okay, no Debo. Thank you guys. Okay. What's up? What's up, Wink?
What's up,
Yo,
Lawson?
Coop, it's been a while, man.
Yes, man.
Bro, so how are you feeling about your Texans this week?
We were- we are good, man. We are good. Man, it's been 2-0. It's not bad, not bad for my Texans. I've loved the matchup this week, especially going against the Vikings. I'm very interested in Jefferson versus Stingley. Daniil Hunter back in Minnesota. So the spread is close, so it's tempting. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and also like last week, I felt like the Texans offense, like you summed it up best, but I felt like the Texans offense like just completely got killed by the penalties. I'm not even making a judgment like if they were bad calls or great calls. But man, they really just they killed all the rhythm.
That happened in the Colts game too. That's something I've noticed.
No,
Get
they
Pedigree.
did. It did happen in the Colts game, and yeah. So what game do you want to talk about? Like who you got this week?
Let's see. Well, it's been the kind of my game of the week, low key. Let's talk about the Eagles Saints.
Okay, let's get to it.
Can the Eagles do it? I feel an upset
Oh,
coming.
okay. You want me to give you my pitch? Okay, firstly, like, all right. I feel like the Eagles are strong at defense tackle, Jordan Davis. I feel like that's where they're best at, and I feel like that's where Carr's worst at. Now, do I think Jordan Davis is capable of having 30 good pass rushes in the game with his conditioning? Absolutely not. But I guess that's the problem of the Eagles defense. Man, I just think Hurts is going to respond. Like, I think they got to run the ball. Like, I don't know about you. Like, it was tough for me to analyze that Falcons Eagles game with us wanting to get the Falcons live back going. I just didn't know why they were passing it so much. But maybe you can add some light on that. I don't know, man. I don't know why they're passing so
I guess just may hurts just off that play calling from Kellen Moore. They're a good power running team. They should stick with what they know. I think just Kellen Moore just want to switch things up.
much. And Saquon Barkley looks so good with the Eagles. I
Uh,
mean, I just yeah, I think the Eagles still have more dogs.
they do.
And that's where I'm going. I'm just worried about Nick Sirianni. Like I compared him to Flavor Flav because like he really is like a hype man, like riding other people's coattails, like Shane Steichen and other people. But yeah, man, what's your take on the game? So
Oh man, Saints been better than I expected offensively because they were abysmal last season. This year, I mean, it's been 2 games, and to be fair, they blew out the Panthers. Cowboys was a little surprising. I'm not going to front, but is it sustainable throughout the whole year? That's my main question, and I feel like the Eagles could respond in this game. I'm not taking anything away from the Saints, but I feel like the Eagles are going to respond this week and at least give them a game.
that's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. Like you give me the Eagles, you give me a top 10 offensive line going on the road, and I don't know, Coop, but okay, I know they brought in Chase Young. Okay, is this Saints front any good? Like you're telling me like the Eagles can't push them back? Like that's one thing I feel like no one's talking about in the game. They think Carr's going to be slinging it like 80 yards to Shaheed and like he's like some gunslinger, like a 24-year-old Brett Favre. Like okay, like I get the analysis, but Mike Thomas does barely can run anymore. Is Mike Thomas like sometimes I is Mike Thomas still on the team?
No, he's the
I
only
know.
thing he's in the
Okay. I
league.
heard someone say that in the comments. I was like, Mike Thomas isn't on the team. And so I'm looking at that like I'm like Olave is nasty, but I don't know, man. Like I think the same stuff is getting out of control. And I think the Eagles safety situation is better than people think. Like I don't know why. I'll let you talk, but I don't know why nobody thinks CJ Gardner Johnson is good. I I don't know if like people don't like his Twitter personality or whatnot, but I feel like he's a dog.
He is a
And yeah,
dog.
man, yeah, man, I'm just fading the Saints stuff. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have the courage to put it in. So,
Well, I'm official on him, but also what I do like in that game, I do like Shaheed over 49 and a half. I have to agree with that. But
yeah, no,
for the
I
Eagle
agree with
safety
it.
situation,
But you said that Tuesday. You're like, this Shahid's too low. So you've been slinging a hot bat. Like, you might as well just keep swinging.
especially him getting like 70-yard touchdowns, which is surprising. But they use him more in the intermediate route, so I like it more now. So
Because you
about
remember when they wouldn't even like target him
yeah.
barely. You'd have games where they wouldn't target him. All right, Coop. Like, yeah, okay. What game? What props do you like?
That one's my favorite. Speaking of that Panthers game,
Oh,
surprisingly, I like Brock Bowers over 49 and a half.
he's good.
Yeah. They're actually utilizing their tight end. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been a stud rookie so far.
yeah, man. And like the thing I worried about, like Bowers in terms of player props, I worried about. You remember when they drafted a guy like Michael Mayer
Yeah.
last year, and I worried he would take touches, but I don't know. Like they've had a good screen game even for Brock Bowers. So, what'd you get the Brock Bowers at? Excuse me.
I think it was 49 and a half. Yeah, it was 49 and a half.
Okay, yeah, because I don't think that's going to go over like 54 and a half. So I think like that's gonna rise though. Like you get him in early. And what else do you like?
If Malik Willis starts, we gotta take his under. You gotta take his
Yeah,
under.
no, that was great. That was great. Like and like I know it was scary seeing at 164, but I couldn't resist that. And I'm nervous about player props. Like, and I'm trying to find some value, like with the Elijah Moore last week, where he
That
had
was a
two and
good
a
one.
half. Like he's a good player, man. Like I'm trying to find some this week. That's why I need the extra day on the props. So,
Those under the radar ones are good too. Like I think I had Chase Brown for like 2.5 receptions. I didn't utilize them more, but I did like that prop a lot. So those under the radar props are really good too.
Coop, any prop you post, I bet $50 on. So I like and like even like because you've been very good the first 2 weeks, but even where like you were missing like up like with McBride, for instance. Like I think he's honestly like I think he's the top five tight end. Not trying to get too much hype, but yeah, like I want to miss like up like that on a guy who's rising. So that's where I'm. Anyways, Coop, what else are you betting?
Okay. I guess we can go back to that Panthers game. I think a Panthers upset could be possible. It's a little
No, I
scary.
do. I do. Like, but what do you have you seen any signs from them of being just decent?
I mean, could they be the frisky team? I don't know yet. But I mean, they're a little bit better. They got a decent coach this year. Just unfortunately, 2 games just hasn't matriculate. And Bryce Young getting benched in the second week in the season is very interesting. So I think it'll give the team some life, at least for the 5.5.
Is Bryce Young the worst starting quarterback you've ever seen in the NFL? Honest
Uh,
question.
There's been bad quarterbacks, but man, I will say this though. It looks very bad that he got drafted number one for that draft capital and for him to get benched his second year. That is really bad.
It's bad, man, and it's bad. And but I like. Here's what Michael Mann said. So I watched that Chargers Panthers game, and I just want to add one thing he said in it. He said, which he was right about, that there were three turnovers taken away from the Panthers defense by like 50-50 calls at best. They were bad calls. So yeah, man, like and the Raiders for me, like I like the Raiders. I don't know your opinion on the Raiders, but I like the Raiders. I just don't want to be laying five with the Raiders or six. It's at six now, right?
The same team that lost to Chargers week one. So I don't know if I could lay 5.5 with them. I mean, in certain spots, do like the Raiders to be a scrappy team. I am surprised they beat the Ravens outright. I'll admit that. So I mean, I don't know what you're gonna get for the Raiders this year. I feel like in certain spots we can target them. Also, in spots like this, I don't think it's wise to lay 5.5, in my opinion.
And cool. Be fair. And do you have any other upsides?
Those are the only two that I could
I
think of.
wanted to run something by you before you go.
Okay.
What do you think about my Jags Bills tag? Give it to me real. And why did no one fucking respond to me when I said give me some feedback on this, like don't spare me. Okay, I think the Jags cover. And I feel like this over is really low, even considering the situations of both of these teams. Like Jags offense just stop, start, penalties. I'm worried about Pedersen, even factoring that into the equation. I feel like this under is too low. I feel like Jags can win.
What's the over under again?
45 and a half when I picked it. I don't know if it moved up, but yeah, talk and I'll get the exact one.
I can see it being like 47.
Yeah.
About the
So
Jags upset, uh, it's in Buffalo. I think that's the only thing that's kind of shying away from me a little bit. But you do have I know it's a little narrative, but Josh Allen versus Josh Allen thing. And I remember what happened, I think, last season. So the Jags, I mean, for 5.5, it could be a letdown spot for the Bills. It's just, I got to see it first. I think that's just me.
got you, Coop. Okay, and before you go, tell me anything else you're targeting.
Anything else? Got good value on the Steelers. I'm trying to
I feel
think.
good about the Steelers.
Yeah.
But I don't want to glaze Justin Fields too much, but he was phenomenal against the Broncos. I felt like. All
So
right,
how do
and
you
what
feel
else?
about the Texans versus Vikings? I know we kind of briefly talked about it.
Yeah, we'll end there, like because yeah, I my instinct when I woke up this morning was to put in a bet for the Texans. But it's like leaning back more back to like preseason. But also like I don't want to cope for the Texans, but like you said, I agreed with your analysis that you were typing in the Discord. Like I felt like the Texans got a lot of bad breaks, a lot of stop starts, and I just like the young players on this Texans defense. Like that's what I think is going to cause Sam Darnold problems. And the Vikings defense, if the if the Texans run it well, I feel like they can deal with Flores. It's just Flores is such a wild card right now.
I know.
I don't
That's why.
I don't know if you see him on the sidelines or I'm the only one that notices, but he brings me back to like old football. He brings me back like to the 80s. Like, and now with the Tua stuff of him being mean to Tua, I don't know, bro. Like he's on one this year. Like, and like even my dad was saying, like, he was people like, okay, here's one thing, not to go off thought too much, but people always like say like, oh, Flores failed with Miami. He actually like really didn't. Like the
No,
big
he didn't.
fight of him was like he said two was not ready. They were in playoff position with Fitzpatrick. Remember when Fitzpatrick cried at the press conference? And it was that. And obviously we know Flores wanted to go with Fitzpatrick. He's playing great. And yeah, so anyways, that's my
He's a no nonsense coach. I give him that. That whole Tua stuff is.
It's
I mean, I guess
bad, man. It's not how you deal with a quarterback, but I don't hate it. But I didn't like it either. I just didn't want to say like, oh, Flores shouldn't get a head coaching job. Like, no, I would hire him.
mhm,
Like look at what D'Amico's done. Like they were saying, oh, you can't hire a young defensive coach in this day and age. And then like look at D'Amico. He snagged Sloak and like he's in business.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Take a good young OC and then a great defensive coach, a great motivator. Like your team can go far. It's possible.
exactly. Yeah, man. So all right, Coop. I'll let you go.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yo, thank you for coming on.
No
And
problem.
how's Zona, man? Before you go, how is Zona? Like, give the real about Zona because I was always curious about it. How is it living there?
Um, Obviously you have your hot ass summers, but it's not bad. I mean, I'm obviously from Texas, so I'm gonna kind of slightly prefer Texas over Arizona, but Arizona has its good has its good parts. It's less rural than Texas, so you get more city. So definitely in the desert. No question about that.
And less cowboy
Mhm.
boots. All right, Coop, I'll let you go, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Lauren, I sent the link. And I'll send a link to Johnny if he's ready. But and maybe we should get Chris on. I haven't seen his message, but okay, here we go. All right, and make sure you hit the like button and let me get to the YouTube chat to see if I missed anything. Yeah, man. I mean, Coop is an absolute boss with the player props. He definitely inspires me. Like he's just very good at analyzing player props. I've never seen anyone quite like him. Yeah, man. And yeah, no problem, Lauren. No problem there. Yeah, Ricky G, Arizona is great. John, come visit. Yeah, my sister, she worked there and she liked it. She liked it, man. So that's why I asked. Yeah, Wink. Yeah, Wink. It's easier for me to post the link on Discord. Michael Mann, Flores just owned the 49ers. I think he copies and pastes a similar formula against Slovak because that's that Shanahan scheme, man. And what are we at in Shanahan schemes in the league? Like they use fullbacks, and we know their zone blocking. So we got like Dolphins, we got 49ers, and we got Texans. And like Kubiak's from that same tree. And that's all the ones I can think of. And Flores does good against all. Um, okay, here we go. Here we go. Um, okay, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, like so. Let me see. What Wink? Are you bullish on the Texans this week? All right, Chris. Let me send your message too. We'll get Chris on. Okay, Chris. I'm gonna send the link in Patreon, so just check there. Um, because maybe you can give me some feedback on. I'm bullish on the Finns this week. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Sent. Nico, what's the props this week? I'm gonna post mine Saturday. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I honestly haven't looked at them so far. Uh, the prop I had last night was Braylon Allen. I'm trying to find minor props like that, like the Malik Willis under Elijah Moore. I'm trying to find guys like that. Like I'm not trying to go Justin Jefferson over yards or anything like that. I'll leave that to them to analyze. Guys who are better with data than me, but I'm going to try to find these minor players because I have to watch these games. So I'm going to try to find these periphery players. Okay, let's get Chris on. Chris, what's up, man? Yeah, your mic's muted. So let me know when you.
How about now?
Perfect, Chris. You sound crystal clear.
Wonderful. Great to be back, John. How you doing this week so far?
I'm doing good, man. I gotta say I really liked the Rogers performance last night, and it gave me a lot of energy. I mean, the game kind of was boring, but also it was fun as well.
You mean last night's game?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, I watched that. As you can see, I'm at work, right? So we
Yeah,
had that game on. Okay, we're a sports bar. Um, yeah, I kind of thought I had a teaser. I and Rogers had a great game. I had them covering 14 and a half points, and that did not hit. But I did have the under. That saved me last night. Really, I have another teaser where I took the Jets and teased them, but I really didn't think there was any chance in a snowball chance in hell that the Jets were going to blow them out by 20 something points, and it happened. It happened.
And I don't think the Jets wanted to blow them out.
No, I just think that their
Yeah.
offense is just New England's offense is just that bad. You know.
Yeah, and that's what brings us to Seattle and Miami. Because listen, man, the Patriots should have won that game against Seattle. And I know Seattle was going west to east, and I get that. And I think the Patriots have actually had a good plan so far on offense. But I think the Dolphins are going to be able to move the ball. And I would be shocked if the Dolphins do not cover that 4.5. And
I
it's
think,
not.
yeah, yeah.
No,
I
go
think
on,
you're
go
right.
on, go on, go on,
No,
go on.
I think you're right. I think McDaniel did have a meltdown on national TV last week, just like you said. But this is a type of team that rallies, and their offense is just way too powerful for them to be shut down completely. I got 4.5 right now. Some places 5 on that game. Um, I think the Dolphins can win that game outright. I don't, it's quite possible, but I have them teased up, a bunch of points. I got them at plus 13.5 right now. So
No, I feel like they're a good teaser option. And then also, like, let's say the Dolphins play like shit, which I'm not ruling out.
it's possible.
Um, but I also think like that 4.5 is wide open for some garbage points, even if they don't play bad. Like, I don't think they're gonna like give up like they did on Thursday night. Like that was kind of despicable, actually. But anyways, it's last week, and they had 10 days to recover. And also, like, I like the over in that game. And also, I want to just say something about Seattle before we get to the games you're targeting. Um, Man, I'm frustrated with the Seattle defense. I feel like you can run it on them. Now we know the Dolphins' offense line stinks, but also having Skylar back there with a lot more mobility, like even Tyreek Hill was saying it this week. And I saw Skylar Thompson cover an 8.5 against the Bills team that's far better than the version they're throwing out this year. So I'm going to thank God it was 10 days. If they didn't have like this 10-day break, I don't know if I'd have the gumption to do it. All right, let's talk about your game.
Well, yeah, you got to remember, Scarlett went into Buffalo in a playoff game in the snow, and if it wasn't for McDaniel and his shitty play calls, and they didn't want to run the ball when they needed to, they would have won that game. So they lost that game, not because of the Dolphins offense, not because of the Dolphins defense. That was all McDaniel that game. Because they went in there and it was a very close game. It came down to a field goal. They if they would have ran the ball, they would have won that game. So I'm over it though. It was 2 years ago. Um, First I just want to go over real quick. How my week went wrong. Um, we're going like this narrative. Like the first week, it was a week of no upsets, and then the following week, now week 2, there was nothing but upsets. Dallas. It's almost like the Saints went and bought a nice silver platter, shined it up real nice, and put the Cowboys' ass on it, and just like sent it to Jerry Jones. It was like the Dallas Cowboys defense wasn't even on the field. Shaheed and Olave were open all game. 180 total yards for Kamara, 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air, and then they did nothing on offense. It was almost like they choked at home. It was just a horrific game. And then you had the Ravens losing to the Raiders. They're 9.5-point favorites.
Bro, and we were that was in perfect position going in the fourth quarter. But that I thought that was like covered because I was watching the Jets ice that game against the Titans. I assumed they covered once they got to that position. Yeah, I don't know if that's one we can even overreact.
I'm on the phone.
Got you, Chris. All right, go on, go on.
Also, then there was Malik Willis stepping out onto Lambeau and doing his Bart Starr imitation in Lambeau Field.
Got you, Chris. And Chris, you want to know one thing? I kind of wanted your opinion about this Packers Titans game.
I'm
Got
sorry.
you. Hey,
Say,
Chris,
yeah, I'm
I'll
sorry.
put you on mute, and once everything's cleared out
No,
there,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say again.
but yeah, go on, Chris. Go on, Chris. Go on, Chris.
But what did save me though, because I mean, I did, take a little bit of a hit on those games. Um, but however, I did make it up. Well, to be honest, it was a little. This past week was a little bit. It was a little bit rough. But I gotta say, whoever is not on Patreon right now, they don't know what they're doing. Okay, because I mean, a lot of your picks literally saved my ass last week. You were 90, or if not 90, or 93% correct on all the overs and unders that you had last week. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I was aware of it because of you. Like, and that's why I'm wondering, like, do we go more than one this week? Because I'm liking a lot this week. But yeah, man,
I think it's definitely a teaser week. Okay, I sent a bouquet of flowers to TJ Watt, because he was all over Bo Nix like Whitney Houston on a crack pipe. It was, I mean, Bo Nix has got to be having nightmares. He has to have PTSD. He's probably seeing him in his dreams every night now. And he basically won me a two-team parlay. They covered and the under on that game. So I was happy about that. So and then the Giants not having a kicker on the roster. Oh, that just made my day. Because that was literally a 2-point spread that Washington covered. Those 3 or 4 games kind of pushed me through the week where I just about broke even. Okay, as opposed to taking a huge hit, because I had a couple of teasers that did not hit, because of Dallas, because of Detroit, who I'm not going to fade. I think they had an off game. I like Detroit, and um, and the Ravens. And the Ravens offense has been suspect. I'm having a hard time with them right now. I need to get some more confidence in the way they're playing before I'm able to lay some money on them again. And I learned my lesson: do not bet on the Dallas Cowboys. Don't do it. Don't do
I don't
it.
think I've ever won a Cowboys bet. A guy typed that on Patreon, and honestly, like I don't think I bet a game they were involved in last year until like the playoffs. And Michael, I missed your super chat. Sorry about that. Now that the Chiefs line went from -4.5 to -3, would you bet Chiefs -3? I want it. I kind of think Atlanta can win the game, but Chiefs are another team that's tough, man. All right, let's get to this week, Chris. Last
Okay,
week,
so I got a 4-team 7-point teaser. I got Pittsburgh. I'm getting 6 points. I got Chicago getting 6 points. I got the Packers getting 8 points, and I got the Bucks getting a half a point.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, I feel like it's a good week for teasers as well. And I also feel like this week we're going to see the games have like more of that NFL equilibrium where we aren't going to be getting like 30-point blowouts. Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, that'll do me just fine. I also got Pittsburgh. Right now, they're giving 2 points to the Chargers. It's I've seen it as low as one. So we're gonna see where that goes. I also like the under in that. Right now, it's at 34 and a half.
Yeah,
They got their
it's at -3 now.
All right.
So
So I got in early. So that's all right. So I got it at 2.
yeah, Patreon. Get in Patreon, get on early. I felt bad about it because I felt like, okay, this is gonna go to like -3. I felt like that's where it was going when I picked the game, and then like lots of strange line movement this week with it. Like, anyways, go
That's
on,
one
go on.
that's one thing that a betting strategy that I want to discuss with you. Because I see
Okay.
a lot of people, they're like, I like to get in and get my bets in the beginning of the week when the lines are fresh right out of Vegas. And then I have other people saying, well, that's not a good idea because then you got to go through the week and you're not going to see what the injury report is until towards the end of the week. So, how legit are these lines in the beginning as opposed to where they are at the end? I mean, yeah, you can save a couple of points maybe in the beginning of the week, but then are you ultimately screwing yourself because you just went through the whole week of practice and not knowing what injuries took place at practice, slipping in the shower, petting their dog, whatever the hell, throughout the week. So what is your take on that in terms of when if you see something hot in the beginning of the week, you taking it no matter what?
Yeah, if I need to lock it in, like, cause like I said, like I kind of my read on that was like this is like gonna go to like to -3, -3.5. Like when I felt like when I saw that game, I'm like, that's a Pittsburgh win by like 4 points for
Right.
me. So, and I'm like, okay, I have to bet it for getting that much value. For me, I feel like you have to lock, if you think something's going to move, you have to lock it in early. But that's why I prefer the Friday equilibrium. Like we get the Friday injury report, and also we're not doing that race on Sunday, throwing shit in, throwing slop in, like when a McDonald's cook just like throws the fucking like a ton of ketchup on it and just slings it out there. That's how I feel like Sunday betting is. So like that's when I go to Patriot. It creates disorganization there. People don't see the bats, but if we have to put something in Tuesday, we have to do it. Like there's no other choice.
Very
And I
good.
felt like that one was I wanted to, and I wanted to go harder on it, but this year has been so volatile. So
Understood.
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Bears on a pick 'em versus the Colts. I like the Bears on that.
I
Okay.
like the Bears too. Chris, can I give you like I've been thinking about betting that as well. I I wonder if this Colts offensive line is good as everyone says.
I
I
just don't think
do.
they're good as everyone thinks they are at all on both sides of the ball. To be honest with you.
No, I hope. Yeah, and like that Colts future bet under 8.5 is looking good. I had a different analysis. I thought like once Richardson inevitably gets hurt, I felt like that team would just spiral even with Flacco. But also a thing about the Colts, like I've talked about the defense a ton, so I'll let you talk. But people forget how just I just feel like their offense doesn't have any dogs. Like when Michael Pittman's your best wide receiver, he's one of the most overrated players in the league. There's no speed there, and they got motherfuckers who are running routes and they're not looking. And Anthony Richardson, when I watch these games, I don't think he's actually been that bad this year. These motherfuckers just they don't even know how to run routes, and then they're not looking at the ball. There's not much he can do. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't think it's him actually. I think it's the talent that's around him. You're right. I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor back there that he's just wasting away, and without a legit offensive line, he's not running the ball the way that he should. They're not creating the gaps and the holes that he needs. And I don't know, and maybe they're not investing on the offensive line like Miami because they think that they have this mobile quarterback who's got a cannon of an arm. But again, if he doesn't, I mean, he can't. He could throw the ball 70 yards downfield on a fly. I've seen him do it. But at the end of the day, if you can't go into a three step drop or a 4 step drop, then you have no time, you know. So I think
I
that's the main issue. Texans and Vikings. Um, the Vikings lost me money this week. They couldn't cover the 6.5. They covered it by 6. And that fumble on the 5 yard line. Okay, I knew right at that moment that the bet was lost. Okay, if they would have won in there, that would have been the game. So I like the Vikings to actually win that game.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, go on.
And then the last one that I got is the Miami versus Seattle game. I have Miami covering the 4.5, and I like the over in that game. And the news coming out of Miami, which I'm not too happy about, is that they're looking at bringing Bryce Young in on a
Oh,
trade.
I think
That's
that's fun. I
bullshit.
think it's fun, Chris.
Yeah,
And everyone's saying like, "Oh, where's Bryce Young going to get traded to?" Like, I don't care where he's traded to. Same thing. I didn't care when Trey Lance was traded. Honestly, Trey Lance looked better, and he has the perfect situation than Bryce Young. Way more perfect situation than Bryce Young. So they can use the Panthers to cope and create stuff. It's just I wouldn't give up anything for Bryce Young.
yeah. Chris
A
Greer,
dud's a
do not do it,
dud.
bro. Don't do it, Chris Greer. Don't do it. I mean,
A
that's
dud's
that's
a
a
dud. Like it's like I used to have a friend from Miami. Like he was a Haitian guy, and he bought like this old Audi. Is the car sick? Yes, it was awesome. Like, but the dude, it broke down like every fucking week, and the dude was spending like 4 G's in a 6 month period just to fix the thing, and he just wouldn't give up on it. He just wouldn't give up, and I feel like that's Bryce Young. Like, it looked good at Alabama, and I don't even think he looks good in like the shorts.
no.
Like,
He's horrible. He's not an NFL quarterback. And they just went out and signed Tyler Huntley off the Ravens practice squad, who is an ex-Pro Bowler. Okay, and he's got mobility. So I see if Skyler doesn't have a great week, I could see Tyler Huntley starting next week. Okay, so I don't see why they have any reason to go and be desperate and grab a guy who's going to be a bust. I just don't see why they would go ahead
Well,
and do
and
that.
Chris, also about that Miami situation, I kind of felt like that was very interesting because them going and grabbing Huntley, I felt like it was extremely interesting when there's like Mike White, who knows the offense on the Bills practice squad. I was just interested by that. I don't know what my take exactly is because I'm not in Mike McDaniel's head, but I do wonder if if he's like fully sold on Skylar Thompson. And Skylar Thompson beating Mike White out actually makes me feel a little bit more comfortable because I've seen Mike White actually have good games with the Jets. So yeah, man, that's
I think the politically correct thing for McDaniel to do is have complete faith in Skylar Thompson because that's what he has to say. But behind closed doors, I mean, these people aren't stupid. They know
yeah.
that he's a backup quarterback. Okay, and Hundley has proven to be a Pro Bowler. So and he's got the mobility and he's got great weapons. He could probably take a hit without getting killed. And it's I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And from what I'm hearing, with Tua going to the Disney on Ice thing with the flashing lights and everything. I don't know. Maybe his concussion is not as bad as everyone thinks it is. I mean, maybe he will be back in 4 weeks. Not every concussion is a life threatening thing. You know what I'm
Chris, he's
saying?
gonna be back. It's
Oh
just
no, he's
about
not
the NFL
retiring.
giving. He's not going. Like I told everyone last week.
He already said
Like
he's not
everyone,
going.
I'm just sick of people wanting him to sit in a recliner like he's an 80-year-old. Like, dude, Chris, that's what pisses me off. And also, like, I will look at data. I will read scientific papers. I'm a nerd. I did the research on the concussions ALS link. What I discovered scared me for other reasons because in Italy they did a paper that specifically linked. They studied American football players. They studied soccer players. Dude, this fucking soccer is very, very highly correlated with ALS. Like concussions, no. Concussions from NFL, not really. So, I don't like the ALS link. Like that's one thing I don't like when we cart Steve Gleason out there in the wheelchair and give us fear. Like dude, I don't like the Steve Gleason stuff. Like I get it. Like Steve Gleason was an
That's what
absolute
the
dog.
media
I
does.
don't
That's what
think
the
he would
media
do it
does.
again.
They sell
I
fear.
think,
They
and
sell fear. That's what they do. They don't have a news story. They don't have something to talk about. Then they don't have a show.
no, they don't. And I saw they said a doctor was saying Tua shouldn't be traveling on an airplane this week. And I'm just like, okay, let's just keep him at home. Let's keep him away from his friends. Okay,
Bubble
let's
boy.
lock him fucking up like a chicken in a coop, and let's keep him there.
Well,
And
this is what ESPN has this week. Okay, they have the Miami Dolphins trading a second round pick to the Carolina Panthers, and then the Rams trading a third pick. Okay, for Bryce Young, and then and then the Rams sending Stafford to the Dolphins for future considerations.
oh, I wish we could get to Matt Stafford on the Dolphins as a football fan. How nice would that be? But that's just slop content. Like that's slop. That makes like the McDonald's guy throwing a half thing of ketchup and just slanging the burger
These
out.
are
Like
people in the ESPN draft room just drafting shit and then throwing it on screen. That's basically what it
it's
is.
slop
and and
content.
and I'm tired of the Dolphins being the smear and the joke of the league, and that's what they are media wise. They clown them constantly. I feel like the NFL never sees the Dolphins seriously since the '70s, and I don't think that they are even giving them a chance to even be relevant in this league unless it's with some kind of slander or some kind of sideways bullshit media press coverage.
Chris, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm just so sick of slop content. And there's one guy on Twitter who's like the biggest account, Dove Kleinman. It makes me happy. Brazil banned Twitter. it makes me happy they do stuff like that, even though I don't agree with it. It makes me happy, so I don't have to read Dove Kleinman's slop content he slangs out there. He had 2 videos that bothered me, like the Caleb Williams gushing. Everyone did it, so whatever. But he showed Bryce Young throwing a little 10-yard out in training camp. It was like, Bryce, he's gonna scorch the league this year, and then it gets likes, it gets discussed, and then he makes money off of it, and he steals other people's content. And I'm just sick of the slop content. Like,
Well, the last thing I got to add is, Dolphin fans, okay, have some faith. I think Skyler's going to go down into a very tough place to play. It's not. I mean, it's not easy to go into Seattle with the fifth man down there and deal with that noise. But he's gonna do well. And I have a feeling we're going to come out with a W down there. Okay, and it's gonna shock a lot of people. I'm not telling you to put your money on it. But what I'm saying is have some faith. Okay, the season's not lost yet. Okay, have some faith. Again, like I said, this is the worst fan base in the NFL. I'm telling you, because people turn on this team so fast, it makes me sick. It really does. Have some goddamn faith in this team.
and Chris, and just before we go, I mean, I understood I had like a strong take about the Tua thing last week, but I mean, I think my take is aging pretty
He's not going
well.
anywhere.
Like, especially with people like just wishing him away. Like, I'm think I'm looking more and more right, like with some of the takes from people. And like Coop said in the chat, the dude's 26. Like,
Exactly.
at a certain point, I know like people value money and security, like basic stuff in life, but he has that already. And not everyone grew up like, I'm not saying Tua grew up rich. He didn't grow up poor. So he's always had that. And now he's got a big check. I don't think Tua's going out and just slamming money around. And I don't think that gives someone any joy after you do it for a month. I don't
Exactly.
know if I'm wrong on that. It just doesn't give me joy
No, he got paid, and then a week and a
buying.
half later, he got a concussion after he got paid. A week and a half later, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that's not the kind of guy that he is. He doesn't want to go out like that. That's one. Two, he wasn't raised that way. His father used to beat the shit out of him for throwing a pick. You know what I'm saying? So, I seriously doubt this is the type of thing that flies within his family. This type of family and this type of culture, they're very proud people. They have a lot of they have a lot of pride in themselves. Okay, and these people aren't. I don't think he is just looking for a quick payday and then he's just going to retire on the beach in Maui. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. And at a certain point, like exactly, man. And yeah, that's where I'm at. And I just feel like people wishing him away. Like, I know it was strong to say, like, I'd rather die at 60 than live to 110. But honestly, like, Chris, you're getting up there. Like, I'm getting up there. I still stand by the point. And also, like, I'm not saying like two is like, look at Kirk Cousins. Like, he's like my dad. He doesn't even buy his own clothes. I just think once you have money and security, you just you don't care. Like when I was like 19, I'd have to like run out and get Jordans and like go crazy. And it's just at a certain
Nobody wants
point.
those bedwetting, diaper wearing years, okay, where you can't remember anything. Nobody wants those years. Live it while you got it now. You only live once, you know?
And we all go in the same place.
Yeah,
That's
in the
what I'm
dirt.
saying.
In the dirt. That's where you're going.
Yeah, and old women get Alzheimer's. Are they banging heads in the NFL? Like, it's just, and that's why I get like why people like are like, bro, we can't let them play because we don't want the NFL to get banned. And you remember that muckraking thing, like with the NFL movie with Will Smith. You remember when that happened, right? Where he did the movie playing the Nigerian fellow, like.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chris, I'll let you go, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, bets will be up tonight on Patreon, by the way.
You know I'll be
So,
there, sir. I'll be there.
dude, I look forward to hearing from you. Always, Chris. Someone said they wish you were their manager.
Oh, well, if you want, get with Lawson and well, get in touch with. I'm willing to expand my horizons. I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson. I know how to get it done.
Yeah, and Chris, plus like it's nice to have a boss who actually has other interests like NFL. Like I never had a boss who liked NFL in anything. It would be nice.
Yeah.
Slang some chicken wings out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And this is the greatest place to work. You know what I'm saying? It's a great atmosphere. You got sports on all the time. It's like, what else do you need? I can't complain.
Well, they're known for other things too. But anyways, I'll let you go,
All right, sir.
Greg. All right, let's get Lauren on. What's up, Lauren?
Who that?
So, Lauren, what are you doing this week with NFL? And are you going to meet Michael Mann? Like, because you go and ghost was kind of. I know you're kind of on the internet like me. You don't like entering too much, but normally with the NFL, you kind of have my schedule where you just like disappear, like you burrow in like a bear, and then like once it starts getting like June, you come out a little bit, you start getting your berries, and you're ready to go.
I
Um,
hibernate. I hibernate. What's your
but normally during the NFL, like you're on, and then he said that you didn't answer.
I talked to him already. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
He'll be here tomorrow. He actually is going to be like 5 minutes for where I am right now, where I play poker every Friday night.
You should get him to go out. No, to go play with you. Like, why not? How much is your buy-in? Someone asked that. Sorry to cut you off.
He's not here yet, I don't think. I think he gets here tomorrow. I don't even know if he plays poker. So I don't know. Poker is my first love. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha. All right, Lauren, what are you doing this week?
let me tell you guys something right now. If y'all have not given the Saints the recognition they deserve yet, you are fools. Because I am so sick and tired of hearing the money pick is against the Saints every effing week. No, it's not. I get it. I understand. I did not think we were going to be this good. But at what point in time do we start to actually get credit or maybe make the rankings? At what point in time?
What are you looking at? ESPN Power Rankings, or like what are you looking at?
Everybody.
But Lauren, I could give you a random spread with the Saints next week against insert team you like, and you would probably be rating them like 17th or 18th in the NFL with your points you get.
The thing is, we went into Dallas where nobody gave us a chance and just ran up and down the field. Kamara literally did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Shaheen is wide open the whole game. You know what I'm saying? Where was Micah Parsons? Where was Diggs? Where they at?
I get it. I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, where were they against a shitty Saints team who is old and decrepit? Where were they? Did they just give us the game and feel bad for us? No. What?
But we've seen them disappear before, though. We've seen them go ghost.
Yeah. Well, is there any sign of regression right now? They've scored 91 points in the first 2 games.
I agree. I agree. And I also think the Panthers defense isn't a joke as well. So I am giving credit. I just don't know. Well, are you betting the Saints this week? Because you weren't too confident week 1. You were not too confident. And you weren't exactly pounding your chest saying Saints money line last week. And who would when a team's with the situation?
If you remember correctly, I did take them as my survivor week 1. And if you remember correctly, I did say I think they could cover last week.
No, and you were and everyone bet the Cowboys. I kind of agreed with you about them to cover. Although I wouldn't bet it. I think I had the Saints to cover out of just like scaredness of the points. But
I took the Saints this week before the Monday night game when the Saints were a 2.5 point dog. I bet it before the Monday night game started, and when they were a 2.5 point dog. The Saints at home with points, I'll take it any day. So now the line has moved because Philly got, did whatever happened with Atlanta, and they lost. So now the line is a 5 point move or a 4.5 point move. I don't know, whatever it was. So I have the Saints plus 2.5.
Okay.
And I don't listen, and I don't bet my team. I've said that a million times.
But Lauren, that was my point. You handicapped them right where I said, like, that's like 17th in the NFL. But so you're on the Eagles.
What's that?
So you're going to bet the Eagles because if you got a 5 point difference, you're obligated to bet it. You're obligated, Lauren, if it's a 5 point difference. You have
You're telling me to hedge it?
No, I'm telling you, you have to bet the Eagles with the +3 because 3-2.
Oh,
hell, that's
yeah.
a 6.
Right.
Like that, we have to use poker phrases here. Like, I mean, you kind of are because I kind of think you're right.
Mm-hmm. So I did. I took them when they were 2.5 dogs. I felt good about it. I hadn't, the Sunday game hadn't started yet, or the Monday game hadn't started yet, and I felt really good about it. I watched them play in Dallas, and I said, this team deserves some credit this year, and I'm not a homer saying that. And listen, Eagles got some issues right now. Let's not ignore it. There's no AJ Brown. And this is probably the worst time for the Eagles to have to travel and face a really hot team that's 2-0. This is a really bad time for the Eagles to have to come to play the Saints. It just is. With the way that their injuries are and the way things are going, this is not a good time for them. Like maybe 5 weeks from now or something, we'd be talking a different story. But this is not a good time for them to come over and play an away game at the Saints and a team that's red hot right now. So I feel like it's a bad spot for Philly.
It's bad. It's not like a great spot. I agree. So, all right, what other games you want to get into?
I actually brought my booklet. Oh, look, I'm in my car.
Sounds good. Let's
all
go.
Right. So, I love. Let's see. I know this is like gonna go against everybody, but I'm on the Colts. Chicago's offense.
No, I get it. I'm scared off of it.
They haven't shown me shit. Like they have not shown me a damn thing on offense. I know their defense is good, but they're just they can't score.
Well, and Lauren, can I tell you what scares me about this matchup? Like, I think the Colts defense is terrible, especially if DeForest Buckner out. But here's what scares me about the Bears defense. I think you can run it down their throat. So
and I think this is a good game for Jonathan Taylor. At least I hope so. He's on my fantasy team. But I think it's a really good game for Jonathan Taylor. And I'm on the Colts. Like I am. There's really no science about it. Like I feel like this is a good spot for the Colts, and at least they have some offensive running, some offensive. Now I do feel like DeAndre Swift, who's had like 46 yards or something total, I think he's gonna be able to go over whatever it is against the Indies, front defense there. So I think this is probably a good week to bet DeAndre Swift because he hasn't done shit, so the line's probably low. And I think this will be the week that he actually does something. I just don't think it's going to be enough. Um, I
I
know
kind of
that,
agree with that logic.
yeah, yeah, I
Anyways,
think,
I think it's good just for me to hear it, just to stay away.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Um,
don't think Anthony Richardson's playing as bad as people think.
no,
Um,
I don't think so either. And it's really just not. It's really it's it's more along the lines of they just got to start getting shit together. You know what I mean? Um, I just I think this is a good spot. I think the Colts finally get a win because they don't have one yet. Um, as far as the San Fran Rams game, I think it's a one possession game. I don't know if it's a 3, a 7, or what. I'm staying the hell away from it. I'm not touching it. I'm not looking at any overs, any unders. I'm not. There's no Cup. There's no Nakua. The running back hasn't done shit over there. Then again, there's no McCaffrey, which the other kid's doing good, but there's no Debo. And to be honest with you, Brock Purdy's never won a game without Debo. So
I think that's his favorite target, and I
yeah,
think
that's frightening.
Ayuk's really overrated. Like Hound, he's a 49ers fan, but realistic. He kind of wanted like the 49ers to just trade Ayuk. Like, and I know I'm not trying to judge Ayuk harshly. Like, I actually think he would be a better receiver in like 80s football because he's so physical. But yeah, like that, and isn't Kittle out? Someone correct
Well,
me.
he practiced,
Okay,
but
thank you.
I don't know. But there's still no like real solid anything.
I
But he
just
did
wouldn't
practice.
want to be riding down to Sunday morning if I have a ticket holding the 49ers, sweating Kittle being in or out. I just don't know if I want to do
Yeah, yeah, no. And something is screaming me to take the Jags this weekend. Um, you know, nothing has gone right for the Jags all year, but they're not as bad as their record shows. I don't think they're going to win. I think this is another 3 to 4 point game or something like that. Maybe even an overtime if you want to get fancy on some sort of prop. They usually play each other tough. Usually they're in. Their last year they were in England or London. I think it's going to be a little closer than we think. I don't think the Bills are just going to run away with it. They have had 10 days to prepare for it, but non-divisional game. They're still AFC, but I feel like Jacksonville is going to. It's not snowing up there. It was 80 degrees yesterday. I'm from up there.
that.
So,
Yeah, like my parents tell me it's like great up there. It was
yeah,
80 degrees. Jeez.
yesterday it was almost 80. So,
Was it hotter
you know,
than Pensacola?
no.
Oh, okay.
It's
Got you. Like
huge.
you're
Well,
like actually like kind of like in like Pensacola gets like Mississippi weather, like when it's hot.
oh
So
yeah, like I'm legit like I'm like only 3 hours from New Orleans.
got you. Yeah, it's a weird area.
So I'm like
And,
I'm right on the Gulf of Mexico. It's humid as hell here. Michael Mann will
and
tell you
Lauren,
all
I
about
just needed like a little push, like cause like people say I'm biased against the Bills. I just like
it. No, I think
because
they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win. I really do.
I do
Um,
too. I just am and like the over under 45, like I kind of think the Jags offense comes to play. And like you said, I watched the Cleveland game today and it's just
yeah,
I don't
and I'll
even know what to
and I'll
make of it.
yeah. Listen, and I am full blown, and it pains me to say this, but I am full blown on Atlanta at home with 3.5.
But can you bet the Chiefs? Do you want to bet Chiefs games? Like I agree
Here's,
with
I mean, there's no Pacheco. Okay, they brought in Kareem Hunt. He's not going to be ready for this game. He won't play this week, but they signed him.
why wouldn't the Browns bring Kareem Hunt back like with Chubb's injury. Like that's one thing that's a red flag. And I'm always a Cream Hunt guy. All right, go on. Sorry to cut you off.
I'm taking it. It's too hard to replace Pacheco. It really is. It's too hard to replace him. I like Atlanta's defense. I just think they're going to have a hard time running. If you're at home getting 3 and a hook, I mean, who doesn't love that? If you're scared, tease it. Like, you know what I mean? If you're that scared at 3.5, just freaking tease it. The Chiefs they have not shown me that they are exceptional this year. They got lucky last week against Cincinnati. I took Cincinnati money line. I also took them with the points. So I won one, lost the other. I should have won both. But
Well, we know, and that's what's the problem with their games.
I get
Lauren.
it.
Like,
I get
and
it.
now
I
we're
get
down
it.
to 3, but I think he'll get back up to 3.5. But also, that's the problem with their games. And I'm not even saying like it's scripted or fixed. Like I'm not even saying that. It's just how that game just went, and like, did they really need to call that penalty on Jamar Chase? Like I've seen the refs pretty lenient with guys like
Yeah.
chirping.
It's
It's just, it's like
so
I
sick.
know,
So sick.
and also like
Um,
that pass interference. Everyone,
yeah,
okay,
I know.
and
I know.
And like honestly, I saw Pat McAfee. Like I know, I shouldn't watch the show seriously, but he's getting worse. I used to love watching the show, but
Me
they were
too.
just saying people hate the Chiefs because they're great, and I'm like, no, it's. I just feel like if there's a 50-50, they're going to get it. You
Yeah.
know?
If it's a dart throw, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, that's kind of really what I've got. I think this whole Panthers Vegas thing, I can see there's a recipe for the Red Rifle, keeping it close or even winning. It just depends on if there's
Lauren, I agree. Can I go in before you say something about it?
Minshew's been
Public,
sacked a lot.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
and public is bullish on the Raiders. Like I don't go into it, but I was looking at the bet distribution, Lauren, and I know I've taken egg in face with Panthers, but I'm looking at like a 93% bet distribution for the Raiders, and we're higher on the Raiders than other channels. And I'm just saying, okay, like with Minshew,
Listen, Dalton's only 34. He's not some 40-year-old guy that you know what I mean, that's just been hanging around. The last time Andy Dalton started, it was in Seattle. He threw for 350 something yards, 3 touchdowns. It was his first game of the year. It was because Young got hurt. They almost won the damn game, and they flew across country to play them. As far as this goes, I mean, Dalton's got a couple wide receiver options. Vegas can be sloppy at times. Minshew's been sacked a shit ton. And Zamir White, their number 1 running back, has yet to score a touchdown. So
yeah, and he had a critical fumble. I love Zamir White though, but he had that critical fumble against the Chargers, and I agree. And also like the Raiders, I think they didn't even have a penalty against the Ravens, which is credit to them for playing good, clean football. I just don't know if that recovers. And like you said, like that offense isn't an offense that you want like in 2nd and 15s. And their receivers, Jacoby and Devontae Adams, are going to create space with those 2 tight ends. I just don't know if that's the guy to find them. He certainly couldn't find them against the Chargers. They were open all day.
yeah, I agree.
Are you going to do it though? Are you going to do it?
Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. As a single bet. Now, I'm not putting it in any parlay. I'm not putting it with any props. I'm just making one single bet with it, with the hopes that my boy, the Red Rifle, can come in and run. Because here's the thing. Their coach now, what the hell, Canales?
Yeah.
So he basically was brought in to fix Bryce Young, right? Oh, that's right. He brought in to fix Bryce Young. He's basically given up on him after week 2 and said, look, I can't win with this guy. He's on the hot seat. So he's like, if he can't win with Andy Dalton, is it Bryce Young or is it the team or is it you? Right? So he's like, give me Andy Dalton and I can show you that I can make shit happen. Because let's be honest, the Carolina Panthers owner has been known for firing people after 1 year, right? Most out of anybody.
Or even like 10
September.
games.
Or yeah, or like even like exactly. Week
Remember
9,
Reich, Lauren?
Frank Reich. Oh yeah, bye bye. You know what I mean?
And
then
Lauren,
the team,
here's what bothered me. Michael Mann never listened to what we were saying about Bryce Young last year. He's a dud. He's a dud.
he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. And I feel absolutely, you know, um, I feel bad for the kid in a way because he went from being like the biggest winner to the biggest loser. But this is the NFL. This is not college, you
Yeah,
know.
he's just
So
not built for this shit. Like, not everyone is, and that's fine.
yeah,
He's got yeah, like some people just aren't built for it.
he's
And like
not Kyler Murray. He's not Kyler Murray. And let's talk about Arizona for a minute. Like I love that team right now. I absolutely love that team right now. I think they're playing good. I think they're in contention. So
No, I agree. Like, I think they're going to finish second in the division, and I think the Rams are going to punt in this season. I think the Rams are going to throw in. Like, you remember that season? No one really gave me feedback on it, but there was a season where the Rams just kind of gave up after week 2.
yeah,
I can't remember the year. I think it's one of those type years. So I
yeah.
think they match up good with teams. Like, we'll see at the defense.
Who are the who's Arizona playing this week?
Lions. So that's where it gets.
Dicey.
But I'm Yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm still thinking about
I don't know if I can touch it.
that. Got you.
I don't know if I
And
can
I'm
touch
gonna
it.
get Johnny Guns right. I have to go use the bathroom, but I'm gonna get Johnny Guns on right now. And
All right.
and
Well,
I'll
I'll
be
see you guys later because I'm gonna go to poker. But good luck to everybody. I wasn't able to post my props on Patreon because it wouldn't let me comment. Like after you
all
posted
right.
a pic, it said commenting was turned off. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's because like yeah, it's because just post it. Yeah, like I'll open it up this week. Like so we're good. We're good. I just did that like and I opened it up before the game because people are getting confused, you
Yeah, because
know.
everybody's like messaging me on Insta to like go put my props and my stuff in there. And I went ahead and like wrote like typed everything out, and I'm like, what the? Oh shit! I can't even.
Got you.
So all right. So just so you know, I tried last week, guys. Sorry.
Got you.
All right,
All
y'all.
right, Lauren. I'll see
Have a
you.
good weekend. Bye.
Got you. Johnny, my bad. Can I use the bathroom real quick, man?
Yeah, go for it.
Got you, bro. And
Yeah.
also, just give us your Cowboys Ravens take, cause.
All right, yeah, let's talk about
Also,
that.
I just
Yeah.
want to say about your Patreon comment. That is one thing I fucking hate about just NFL discussion. They're 0-2. They can't win a game. And then, like, I'm not picking on Scott Eddy, but they say a 0-2 team wins 70% of the time against a team that's 1-1. Like, guys, let's just analyze the football games. Like, you think Micah Parsons coming off the edge, it doesn't matter what some guy did. Like, fucking 10 years ago in a game that had no relation. Anyways, I'll be right back. My bad.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. So yeah, Ravens at the Cowboys. I mean, essentially, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard it, but the line last week I think was Cowboys -1, and right after that game this weekend, last week meaning before week 2 during the week, it's like -1, -2 for the Cowboys, and then after that game they shoot up the line to Ravens -1. And to me, like after watching that game, like okay, I understand it, I get it, that makes sense. But all this money keeps coming in on the Ravens, keeps coming on the Ravens. Everyone I talk to is like, oh, Ravens by a million, Ravens by a million, but the line's not moving farther up. If the Ravens are going to have this crazy bounce back that everyone's expecting, uh, then why isn't it going to -2, -3? And I get it, Dallas home field advantage. They should be getting 3 points, but if the Ravens are supposed to be this, what we think is a crappy Cowboys team, why aren't they -3 even on the road? So it just doesn't make sense with all the money coming in. And then so it got up as high as -1.5, and now it's going back to -1. Even the money line for the Cowboys is -105. Usually you'd see like a plus 105 ish, maybe even plus 110, depending on how much money's on them. That's strictly a market play. And if we think back week 1, week 2, that's everyone's survivor pick. Week 1 was the Bengals. Everyone's survivor pick week 2 was the Ravens. There's no way the Ravens are going to lose, a heartbreaking loss for the Chiefs. Got their ass whipped. No, they didn't get their ass whipped, but they blew a 10-point lead. They got stopped on 3 drives, and the Raiders went on to score 3 more on those 3 drives. They got the ball back. So it's not impossible for the Ravens to go 0-3. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to make the playoffs. It's just, I don't know where that locker room is at. I don't know where their mentality is at. Things just can't go their way. And then also you can look at these stats. Cowboys have only lost 2 games in the past 2 years. They're 16-2 now at home. Now, granted, those 2 games were against the Packers, got blown out, and then against the Saints last week. So there's still a pretty large home field advantage for the Cowboys. I went to week 3 preseason, Chargers at Cowboys, and even for a preseason game, that place was popping. So regular season home field advantage is still huge at AT&T Stadium at Jerry's World. There is one thing now that you're back on that I want to mention. I have a coworker who's got like the in with the Cowboys, and he gets these like he has a suite. He gets these tickets right next to Jerry Jones, and so he can see them. He's like, I can just grab this Coke can and just throw it at him. And so he told me that he knew JJ Wilcox. You remember JJ Wilcox?
Yes.
Yeah, he knew he was basically his second dad essentially. And so he would always get him tickets, and then he met this chaplain, and now he gets tickets to him, and so on and so forth. He told me that JJ said it just seems like Jerry doesn't want to go to the Super Bowl. It just seems like he just wants to win the NFC East and not make another legendary team. He doesn't want that 90s team to be forgotten, essentially. And when I heard that, I was like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, dude, they would have JJ travel to the other side of the country for all these foundations and fundraisers. They'll send these star players. They got a game on Sunday. They're sending them out on Wednesday, flying them.
Jerry doing that?
Business, bro, business. So once he said that, that kind of made sense. And so, do you know why? What's his name? Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones had a falling out.
I read the book by Skip Bayless. Now, Skip Bayless is dubious, but he used to be a good journalist.
So I
From
didn't
what
read
I
it.
heard, go on.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but he was telling me that Jerry Jones would always go down to the locker room before the game, always. And every time they went down to the locker room before the game, this players would get all serious. They wouldn't be all loosened up, and then they would just try to get angry and just be serious for Jerry, and then they would come out flat and lose every time. And one time, Jimmy finally said, enough. I don't want you coming down into my team's locker room before the game. It messes with them. And Jerry, sure enough, did it with someone else that's random. And that's how they had a falling out, essentially. And so he believes that just by the way the Cowboys came out of that tunnel last week, they came out soft. They weren't all hyped up or anything. They just came out, ran to their sideline. He's like, I'm almost like 90% sure Jerry Jones went down to that locker room before the game.
And that's what's crazy about Jerry, because no one does better business than him. But secondly, like that 90s team he built was one of the greatest things ever. And didn't he spend a ton of money doing it? Like so much more than everyone else. I could be wrong on that. And thirdly, and here's the thing that's crazy about it. It's just he seems so competitive, and I can't see him doing it. Like,
I
but
me
I
neither.
believe it.
But get this at the same time, what was the MO for the Cowboys all offseason? Right after the Packers loss, we're all in. We're all in. What moves did they make?
Nothing. The
Exactly.
Kendricks was like the only one, and I thought people were being like Twitter brained, like new brained, because I felt like they was just like waiting, and I'm fine with waiting. And I thought they were going to do something in the draft. Then after that, I was like, huh, that's a little bit weird. And we see Smith play great with the Jets last night. Like, dude was absolutely immense last night. And then you're just okay, like you pay a
Yeah, dude.
quarterback and you don't bring
It's
back a
I
left
I don't
tackle.
I don't get it, man. I didn't want to believe what my coworker had said, but now that I'm like paying attention to the media, um, the radio stations here, like that's what's one great thing about living in Texas, I'll say, is that you turn on the radio station, they'll talk about everything, all the sports amongst all leagues. When I was in San Diego, all they would fucking talk about is golf and the fucking San Diego as State Aztecs because
Golf?
yeah, because like they don't have sports in San Diego. They have the Padres, but at the time they were trash. So they're just like, well, who's golfing this weekend? You know? and and then it's the San Diego State Aztecs, which at the time didn't have a home stadium because they tore down Qualcomm Stadium and they're building them a new one, which it's up now. It's very nice. But like when I moved here and I turned on the radio station, I'm like, oh, they're talking about the whole league. They're talking about all of MLB, all of NBA, all of NFL. And they have these crazy interviews. But every time I hear an interview with Jerry, it just sounds like bullshit. Like I think he just cares about the media and he just wants all eyes on the Dallas Cowboys.
I know, I believe it. I believe it. And he's so good at it. Like I wouldn't even think he made his money in oil. I would have thought he made his money in something else, just judging on him. Just judging by him. Like you wouldn't think he was like a commodities guy, for instance. You would think he was something else. Like yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
But that being said, I do want to bring up a different kind of topic. I've told you many over the last, I don't know what, 3, maybe 4 years I've been hopping on stream with you. I try not to bet the Cowboys. If I do, it's a total, maybe in a teaser. And the more I go through different sports of not trying not to handy or bet on my own team, there's certain spots where I know you just have this feeling, and sometimes you just got to do it. And I think you're leaving money on the table that way. Now I'm not trying to be a homer, but this just is just streaming one of those spots where I think I'm gonna throw some money on the Cowboys. I think everyone's counting them out. And let me remind you again, every year the Cowboys have one game from week 2 to week 4, they get blown out. Usually it's by a shittier team. Last year it was the Cardinals. I think the year before that was the Bears. And this year it happens to be the Saints, which who knows if they're going to be a good team. They look great right now. But every year, week 2 to week 4, somewhere around there, they get blown out. And then they bounce back and they go on a crazy win streak.
I agree. And also, and I just want to respond to some one comment because so he wants all eyes on the Cowboys, but doesn't want them in the Super Bowl. Got it. These two things can't go together. I kind of disagree. I
Yep.
kind of disagree. As a Vikings fan, I've the worst season I've ever had since I've been watching the team was a 6-win year. So we're always interested. We're always ready to go. It's not like a Oakland Athletics, Chicago White Sox situation like we see with like the Panthers. Like they're always Cowboys are always in it, and it's always a pretty damn good product. Like you always have great players like Micah Parsons, or even like the offensive guys that casuals can get around. It's just I kind of disagree, man. Like it might be better to be on the cusp than actually winning.
It is because every time the Cowboys are about to get there, media pours in. Stephen A. Smith, whether they're doing good or not, he's ready. He's the first thing on his list to go over is just how to fuck with the Cowboys fans and how to just talk shit, even when they're doing good.
That's you notice that with Pat McAfee. The minute they're on ESPN, I bro, they rarely talked about the Cowboys back in the day. First 30 minutes, Cowboys talk.
All the
And
time. And there's another comment here, Brad Collins. Guys of his stature don't like to lose. Not wanting to win a Super Bowl is a wild conspiracy. Just accept the Cowboys aren't good. I mean, yeah, whether you think they're good or not, I'm not gonna sit here and argue that they're good. I'm not gonna sit here and argue that they're not good. They are what they are. Um, but I think there's a lot of bias towards just hating the Cowboys. I really do, and I get it now because that same coworker last week before week 2, he was just like, "Oh, they're gonna run over the Saints. They're gonna win easy." I was like, "I don't know, man. The Saints are pretty easy." No, 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 they beat up on bad teams. And in my head, I was like, I already fucking when someone is just that sure of one side, and that's why I didn't want to bet it. And sure enough, and just that week, he was just saying, "Man, that number 15 looks good. That's a nice jersey. I don't really care for Zeke, but I might get that jersey." Comes in on the office on Monday. "Man, they need to get rid of Zeke. They need to get rid of Dak. They need to do this, Jerry's that." I'm like, "What? Weren't you just about to get these guys jerseys?" And in my head, I'm
Well,
like, "Oh, that's what everyone else sees us Cowboys fans, because that's how we
that's what
normally
everyone
react."
else sees. And then also there's been like a dedicated like anti-cowboy train. Like for instance, my uncle, like he likes football, but like an engineer and he never really like got a team or anything. But he like in the early 90s he became like an anti-cowboys guy because like the meat coats and Dion dancing around. So he's just is an anti-cowboy guy. Like he's not even a fan of another team. He's just an anti.
There's a lot of people on my dad's side of the family that are like that. "Hey, who you rooting for? Who are the Cowboys playing? So and so." That's who I'm rooting for.
It's
And
true. And like these people like love football and they like seeing them lose. And I get it. Like because it's the fan you just talked about. And then like if they're older than the early 90s, like seeing like Dallas, like just what they
yeah.
did to the Bills in the Super Bowl and like dancing around like Leon Latt. Go like it was
It was
bad.
legendary, but that's what teams do when they're good, when they're allowed to do that shit, and like everyone's okay with all the shit that happens with the Tom Brady era and the Pat Mahomes and stuff. Like I'm not saying they would do shit like that, but they're okay with anything that comes with those teams because those are greats right here in the now. Back then, I feel like there was a lot more people that liked the Cowboys because of that, and then there's the people that lost to the Cowboys because of that, and they didn't like it either.
Well,
So
and just to respond to Travis again, like
I was
and
just gonna respond to that. Yeah, go
he
ahead.
makes a good point, but yeah, like I'll respond to it a little bit and I'll let you go. I kind of disagree. Like I think the Chiefs are bigger now than ever, not because of anything football related. And I'm not going to even get like to Taylor Swift, like Travis Kelsey stuff. For instance, like I'll go into it. Like Pat Mahomes, um, his wife liking stuff on Instagram.
His brother, bro. Remember a couple years ago, his brother Jackson Mahomes, dude.
Jackson is a case that needs to be studied, man. Like, you
And then
know,
his dad too. His dad with the DUIs and stuff recently here in Dallas.
and his dad was like a disciplined baseball player too, which I don't get. I guess they pick up alcohol when they're on the road and stuff. But his dad was like a disciplined baseball player. And then you got Buckner, like women hate him. Now like left hates Pat Mahomes, and then the right hates Travis Kelsey. And bro, like they're bigger now than if they were.
They're huge, man. It's ridiculous. But to Travis, do you know how much more media they'd get if they actually won it all? Yes, you're right. They would get a ton more media, but they're gonna get media going all the way up to that point. And then also, he just doesn't want to replace that 90s team. He doesn't want to. He's still living in the past. That was his best because he had bought the Cowboys, right? And he basically rebuilt that whole team, and that was his product that he did. So he doesn't want to replace that team. That's my view and understanding of it all.
And it's crazy. And here's the thing, Johnny. Like Jerry knows football. Like him and Jerry Richardson are like the two owners. Jerry Richardson he got forced out in Carolina, but him and Jerry Richardson are the only two NFL owners who play. So that's where I'm at.
Jerry's more into recruiting. He loves the recruiting side of things. So
And
that
I
as long as
get
he can do that, he likes having the next young star and trying to rebuild from these smaller schools. That's his thing.
exactly. Anyways, let's get to another game. Like,
Yeah, let's
what
do it.
what game do you like the most this week? Because And also, I like you when you said earlier this week the over in Ravens Cowboys because I think it's going to turn into some sort of shootout.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it's we'll
I
get
think a
into
27-24 is safe at the very least, man.
for the score of the Ravens and Cowboys.
Yeah, I think it's going
Yeah,
to be something like that.
I think it'll be a 3-point game, and I'm predicting a Brandon Aubrey 70-yard record-breaking field goal to do it, and that'll just be like another icing on the cake for the Baltimore Ravens loss.
Well, and that'll make everyone go crazy. So, all
Exactly.
right, let's get to your best bet.
Um, let me see what I have here. So my best bet I got in early was that Pittsburgh Chargers under. Um, no science behind it. It's just two under teams. I'm not a believer in the Chargers offense. Pittsburgh's defense is good. In Pittsburgh, like it's got to go under. I got in early at 36 and a half. I think it's at 35 and a half now. Um,
And here's the thing, and talk about the line movement in that game. I kind of like the under, but
okay, yeah, here, let me pull that up. I actually have this on another tab.
got you. And plus, man, and yeah, I actually think Herbert's really banged up. Like, and I'm not even worried about the ankle sprain more than putting the plantar fasciitis in his situation. Like, man, I think he's gonna be in trouble. And I'm not
Yeah,
sure they can block the Steelers like even
I
with
don't
the
know
best.
what's going on with that. There's a lot of mixed things going on. Um, yeah, it's
It's
interesting. But as far as the line movement for this one, let me pull up my other tab. Sorry, I thought I had it up, but so if I go to football here,
no problem. Let me filibuster because yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I already said it to you, but I felt like I had egg on my face when I went all over it at 2 and I just didn't get it. And the way you explained it made a lot of sense.
so do you want to
So
talk about the spread or the total line movement?
yeah, let's get to the spread. Like the
This,
under, like yeah,
yeah.
it is what it is.
So so it opens up Pittsburgh -2, and then it goes down to -1, which is what you got in at, right? I think it
I
was
got it at -2,
you did.
and I
Okay,
got
so
it in Tuesday. Yeah.
okay,
So
yeah.
go
So you
ahead.
got in literally like I'd say 30 minutes after you posted that, I just went to go check the odds, went down to -1.5, and then -1 for that whole day. Up until about yesterday, started coming back up. And I even told you, I was like, just wait till the limits get released. It'll probably go back up to -2, -3, because there's just doesn't make sense how a home team like the Steelers would not be favored by at least 3 points. Home field advantage, you get 3 points. That's what they say, right? -2, -3. Um, and sure enough, I don't know if they lift the limits on Thursdays or Fridays, but it's one of these 2 days. And sure enough, all the money just started flooding in, and so now it's back up to -3.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no,
and but
because it's like you said, when it got to -2.5 today, you're like, this is going to -3. And I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to like -3.5. No science there, but
yeah,
I mean,
and the thing with the
go ahead.
money, I think at that time there was still like 60 and 50% of the money. I forgot what that screenshot was that I sent you, but now it's up to 74 and 79% of the money. So now on the Chargers. So now that we know where the line got as low as -1, and with all that money still coming in on the Chargers, it's going up to -3 for the Steelers. That's like a clear reverse line movement spot. That's like sharp action. I know we can talk about the term sharp, but to me that's like an auto bet when I look at strictly market plays. Whenever there's all the money on one side, or there's more bets than there is money, like 70% bets but only 45% money. That means that there's an overwhelming amount of public money on that. So for me, like now, I know I said I might have to get in on Chargers just because the way the line was moving, but that's why we wait till Fridays to see what happens, right? Sure enough, now it's just looking like the play should be Steelers. And for all you parlay lovers, money line, throw it in a parlay. That's a solid play. You don't have to worry about the -3, because I could see this being a 3 or point or less game. Um, I
Yeah,
like the
like I wouldn't
-3.
want to get Steelers at -3, but also like I think they win by a field goal, and I also think they kick better. And I think Boswell at Heinz Field, like, there's a lot of talk about kickers. Like, I just want like Mike Tirico to relax and Al Michaels to relax. Like they're saying, oh, they make everything now. It's automatic. And they're saying they need to move the field goals thinner. I'd be fine with that firstly, but also like I feel like they're overreacting. Like there's some hard places to kick and it's fucking warm everywhere.
Well, they just have the bias of the game nowadays. Now the game nowadays, it is a lot more normal to see a 50, 54-yard kick. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's easy, but it's normal because there's a lot more kickers that are doing it now. But to say that it's just too easy, it's given the hell no. I mean, Greg Zerline just missed one from like what 38 last night, something like that.
Yeah,
And
it's and here's the thing, Johnny. Like, if we're gonna be starting at the 35 yard line, that's like a whole nother discussion. Like, we're just gonna get more long field goal times. Like, I don't think they should be doing that, but old football mind. I
yeah,
feel like
man,
I'm
it's
old already, and like we're not even old. So
not yet, but the time just keeps ticking, bro.
yeah, no. And are you seeing any other weird line movements last week? And also, like, at least like if we go into Charger Steelers game, I feel like there's football reasons for it, and it's what we said last week with the Broncos Steelers. That Broncos Steelers was weird last week when someone sent me 90% of the Broncos was on it after we heard Fields was a starter. I felt like that was odd. I know like guys who bet professionally and big money will be like, "Oh, Sean Payton, let's go," but I felt like that was odd. No, but 90% was on the Steelers, but all the public was on the Broncos. Like, had to be over 85%. And then you look at the money distribution; it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird, and that's why, whenever I talk to people about the market, you have to correlate with the line, right? Basically, my breakdown, how I was matching it, when I track these, I try to track them after the game on Sundays if I don't Monday morning, and I'll just mark them up on action because you can like place your picks, and then every time a line moves, it'll notify you. But I just do that because then it'll tell me when I made that pick what the line was. Um, and so you have to correlate if there's all this money on one side, make sure that it makes sense, right? For example, if we just look at opening lines to what they are now, um, there was one that completely flipped. It was like -4 one way and went the other. I guess yeah, so all right, so here we go. The San Francisco and LA Rams. That one opened up at -4.5. It got and now it's -6.5 to San Francisco. But to me, that doesn't make sense. And this is one there's more bets than money. 76% bets, 55% money. That doesn't make sense. There's more key injuries. Well, actually, it's probably balanced, honestly. But you're telling me that with these backups, that San Fran is still going to be winning by a touchdown on the road, divisional game? To me, that doesn't make sense. So, and that's also a clear overreaction from the public on the Rams because there's all this money, or I mean, on the Niners, there's all this money on the Niners, 76% of bets, 50 something percent of money, lines going up to them. But I can't be on a public side like that. If I was going to make a bet on that game, it will be the Rams plus the points.
But Johnny, you're right. And also people got caught with their pants down last week with the Cardinals Rams, but also you're not going to have that like strong feeling because you were on the Cardinals, and I feel like people get emotional with that. And like you said, that isn't quote unquote sharp money if someone's getting emotional about that. And also like with the Rams, like I'm okay, I get Nakua Cooper Cup out. I'm worried about the injuries on offensive
The O
line. You
line,
give
yeah.
them another week to patch that. And like you said, there's so many players out. You said on Discord, it's like a preseason game.
That's exact practice squad. It's a practice squad game.
Oh,
All of the weapons that Brock Purdy's been comfortable with since he started with the 49ers are gone except for IU. Debo, CMC, George Kittle. Those are the top three. Those are the top three before Ayuk got there, and now they're gone. So he only has Ayuk now. You know,
Yeah.
so like it's pretty even. I don't see, and McVay, both coaches are phenomenal. You're telling me McVay's gonna let this team slip at home in a divisional game by 6 points, 7 points? I don't know,
Well,
man.
and Johnny, here's the thing. We love betting the 49ers ever since I met you like 3 years ago. Hell, maybe even longer. We've liked betting the 49ers. And even I'm saying, like, oh, it's way too much. Like, calm down. But, anyways, yeah, like, it's overreaction because people thought the Rams were going to win. Now they got mad. And there's just like slanging money. It's, even though I
Definite
do
over.
think the Rams are going to give up this year. But even with
I,
that being said, they're going to go out and play.
they will give up at some point, but I don't think it's this week. I don't think it's week 3. You know what I'm saying? It's still early. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna bet that one yet though. That was just an example of a market movement.
And like, it's also like, do you really even need to bet that? So tell us what else you like this week.
Okay, yeah. So as far as what I actually liked, so it was that total I gave. I got in on Tampa minus 6.5 early on Monday because I thought this line was gonna skyrocket to 7.5, 8 points for Tampa Bay, but there's actually been some pushback, um, and I'm not sure what it is. This is one of those ones where I got to figure it. Is there any injuries to Tampa Bay that I don't know about? Like,
Vita Vey, Winfield left the game early, but I think he's gonna play. They're worried about other, like, their secondary corner, the guy who's, I'm forgetting on his name, but there's like nothing serious. There's nothing where there's like two offensive linemen out on the right side where you get scared. I guess my take on that, it would be people like you and I who like betting teams like the 49ers, like betting Sean Payton just because they trust him. That's my take. And maybe they're fading Tampa. It's hard for me to find evidence to fade Tampa. And I thought Tampa would regress this year
well,
with
the
Baker.
general
So,
public, I would say, would like to not believe in Baker Mayfield and fade him, which I don't know if I'm a believer yet. He's played damn good. And I trust him enough to throw some money on him on Monday. I just like, what's Bo Nix gonna do? The Tampa Bay defense isn't terrible, and Bo Nix hasn't showed us anything against any defense in the last 2 weeks.
dude, and some of these Tampa Bay defensive ends, like, I'm seeing them get pressure. I'm seeing them not get dominated by a top five Lions offensive line. And I'm that's what I'm saying. Like, I felt like the Tampa Bay defense, like, Todd Bowles isn't a guy I like to get behind. Okay. I feel like he's average at best, but also like maybe he's getting better as a coach. I'm willing to take that into consideration because he used to be a net negative, like when I will look at it from a betting perspective. But like, and like, if you tell me their front can stay with the Lions, this, like you said, Bo Nix, let's just talk about this Broncos offensive line. I think they stink. And if they can't run the ball, they're going to have problems pass blocking regardless. Also, I saw Bo Nix completely get flustered against the Steelers. I don't know if anyone else was watching that game, but I saw him fall down 2 times when the right tackle had a good pass block on Watt. He just kind of fell down because he was feeling it, man. And I don't know if you come back from that after 1 week. You start hearing the ghost, so to speak.
Yeah, dude, it's I mean, all of it's just interesting. Like I said, I ended up just moving on the Bucks. I don't know if I'm gonna throw more on it because I always throw like, you know, $50 or whatever on these early lines, and then if I like it, the line moves my way, I'll throw some more on it. That one's probably one I'm not gonna throw more on. Um, so yeah, that was that one, and some other ones that I think I will, just because I might be a little biased towards hating the Eagles, but that was a clear flip. You know, Eagles were favored -2. Titans went to -2. Titans are at home. I think the Tennessee secondary is good enough to not allow Jalen Hurts to make these passes. So I'm going to be on the Titans, and And then the Dolphins. I saw that you were leaning toward them. Um,
Bullish on the Dolphins this week,
Here's the
Johnny.
thing, and I've been hearing it on some other podcasts, but this is kind of where I was already thinking. We have a system quarterback that's been in the system already, Skylar Thompson. Um, they still have all these weapons. The line I think temporarily flipped to minus. I want to say -1, if not damn near close to a pick for the Seattle, and then now it's back to 4.5. Um, like
And that's where I'm at. And I think this Miami defense is underrated as well. And I know, once the bullets start flying, fog of war, so to speak, um, they were bad. Like, listen, they gave up that big run against the Bills after a turnover, but I don't know if it's just me coping, but I don't feel like that Dolphins defense played bad at all against the Bills. I felt like they were pretty good, actually. And I don't know. I feel like, and man, I'm worried about Seattle. I don't know if you watched their film of the first two games. I'm worried about that. I'm really
they're a
worried.
weird team, dude. They're a team that I was high on last year. Oh, I made a mistake. You guys are right. I did say the Eagles. They are playing the Packers. But the Titans play against the Packers more of the second start of Malik Willis. He had a tremendous start this past week. I don't think he's going to do that again back to back weeks. It's
You
really
don't think
rare for
Jordan Love's going to play?
no. Why would
I
they?
think he's going to play.
Why would doesn't he have a division game or something, a much more important game next week?
Yeah, but
Why would they risk that against the Titans? To me,
well,
like
here's my take on it. I kind of went like full autism mode on this last week. So from what they were saying, he has like a grade 1 MCL. Okay. So what they're saying and what offensive linemen are saying is that's very common with offensive linemen. Now, he's not an offensive lineman, but they're saying you can hold that in with a brace. You don't even need a brace with it. You just need to hold it in and it's not going to go out. It's going to cause some discomfort. Yes. But is it something that will limit you from playing? Not really. So that's was my main take of it. And then now I don't know how much I believe beat reporters anymore. So take this with the most gigantic piece of salt you've ever tasted in your life. They were saying they had to hold Jordan Love back from playing. I don't know if I believe anything beat reporters say. Do you, I don't, Johnny.
no,
I
I
don't.
don't. I don't. Like
I don't. I hate them. By the way,
where were they holding him back in the locker room? Was he about to get rest? Because like it didn't look like that on the sidelines. Like what? Like it just doesn't make sense. But to touch on the point that you mentioned, oh, shit, I already lost my train of thought. What were you were just saying something about? Oh, the brace and that he could still play in it. Do you want to take that risk with your franchise quarterback that you just paid? Like, yes, he can play, but it's against the Titans. Do you want to take that risk? And then also my thought process was they just saw how good Malik Willis just did. Oh, we don't need to rush him back. He's fine. We have Malik Willis just did this for us. He's great. He won. I
he's
think
handed
they
the
have that
ball off.
bias in them. Me, I'm gonna fade the absolute shit out of it. I'm gonna take the Titans. I don't think he's
Yeah,
gonna do
no,
good.
if Malik Willis is out there, I'm fine with Will Levis turning the ball over 2 times. And like, and the Will Levis situation is so weird, Johnny, because I want to like him actually, and I actually think Callahan's been really good. No one does the scripted offense rankings anymore, and Rake Flyer is not going to come in and help me. But like I said, I think the scripted 2 weeks of the Titans offense, like the first 15 plays, have been brilliant. So, and I'm not even high on Callahan. Like I thought he was like the worst hire of them all, but
They have some
they're
good
off.
mojo. I think their locker room has some good mojo right now. They haven't been playing bad football at all. They're feeling it. Packers have had a tough Brazil game. They had a tough. Well, I guess they had Malik Willis last. They did great, but like for the past 2 weeks, I think that the mojo in the Titans locker room is feeling nice, and I don't think they're gonna let this one up at home. Honestly,
No, and here's the thing: if there is Malik Willis out there, you do wonder. Okay, Packers offensive line looked great against the Colts, but we've also been saying all year like the Colts defense sucks. It does. Like they were able to
Week by week,
patch
it's
last.
getting more and more exposed because people were so high on them at the beginning of the year on the
I know,
defense.
like I've been on the under win total for the Colts all year, but I don't want to react to the stimuli of them getting their ass kicked last week. But Johnny, when you get pounded for 190 yards and Malik Willis does you in this league, I don't know. That's something that lingers. That was bad. That was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. I
And
mean,
the
yeah,
receivers aren't even finishing routes anymore. Like, yeah, man. Yeah. Anyways, I think the Colts are good. I just think the Colts are terrible. So
yeah.
I
I don't think they're not what the media and the general public um, expected them to be. I don't think
yeah.
not, and we're
And
seeing that from week to
Johnny,
week.
like, have you noticed this too? Maybe I was talking on my ass with this because sometimes I do listen to Mike Lombardi. So take him with a gigantic grain of salt as well. But sometimes I do like his takes, even though he was a terrible GM. But take this with a grain of salt. I've always thought, and he kind of said this as well, when you got a great offensive mind like a Shane Steichen, they take a little bit of a fall off in the second year. Not like saying like, oh, you can't coach, you can't design plays anymore. It's just the league catches up with them a little bit, and then there's just a natural adjustment period. I don't know how you feel about that, but there's only so much Shane Steichen can do at
It's
a
old
certain.
school versus new school, and I think I made this point even with last week's performance with the Cowboys. Um, Zimmer against one of his old assistants. Zimmer has some brilliant defense. He likes to confuse you at the snap, up until the snap, moving people around. Um, but it's also it's still kind of old school a little bit for when he was successful. People are catching on now is the point. Um, so that was like an old school versus new school thing, and he just got. So I just think that statement's totally valid. The old school, it's going to catch up to you at some point. It always usually does.
And Mike Zimmer, and like he invented the double A gap for NFL. Like I
Yeah.
remember how good his Cincinnati defenses were.
Well, that's another thing about that game too is that they didn't. I think Demarvion Overshown. Have you heard of him? Do you know him? Surely you do.
No,
No,
no.
he was their I think first or second round draft pick last year, but he got injured in training camp out all year. He's supposed to be the one with Van Der Esch, and then eventually replace him out all year. So this is his
Which
actual
makes
first
sense
year.
because I felt like it goes into your Jerry point. I felt like the Cowboys were a linebacker short last year,
Dude, they have
especially.
every year they always have a great linebacker next to the line, always. So this kid gets hurt and he's back. I was following the training camp. They were covering it on the radio, listening to interviews. The dude is lightning quick, and they only had him on 18% of the snaps. He's in their nickel formation, and against the Saints, what the Saints were showing, they're running their base package, and Damone Clark, who is safety transition to linebacker, who can be a safety. Um, he's an athlete and he can get the job done when someone's
Kind
hurt.
of
But I
like
don't.
Metellus, like in this
Yes.
like hybrid role.
So they have him in the base package, and you have to have someone like Demarvion Overshown in all of your packages. Like that is one of your best players on defense, next to Mike Parsons. Probably not as good yet, but he's that caliber. So that's why I think that Zimmer realized that, and that we're going to get a different defense because he's fast, and you're going to need some fast people for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know about you, but against the Chiefs, watching that first game of the season, I was like, oh my god, these two teams look fast. Like I don't know of any other team that can keep up with them. They looked crazy fast. They looked good. And then obviously, every team is different as weeks go on. It's just a normal game speed. Um, but yeah, so it's with that, I think Zimmer is also going to bring something else on defense where he'll be using DeMarvin and Overshown in that linebacking core. Now, we'll say the defensive tackles are a very weak spot for the Cowboys right now.
Well, that's
Very,
why
very
they
weak.
collapsed against the Saints. Let's be honest. It was about Kamara going off on the run game, and
Oh,
that's the
jeez.
problem. Yeah,
I can't believe they still had him on the team. He's been out for like the past like 3 years, it seems like, or 2 years. It's just, and then he just pops off. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. This guy's a fucking tank. Yeah.
he's so
Anyway, I
good,
keep
man.
bringing it back to the Cowboys. That's it. Let me let me talk
No,
about
no, but
it.
yo, and Johnny, we got to get you on earlier because I want to clip the line stuff because I had a bunch of questions to ask you. So
Ask him away. Yeah. The only other game I was going to say was the Saints. I'm not a believer in the Eagles and the Eagles defense. I know there's a lot of overhype around the Saints, but I think the Saints are very 2023 Dallas Cowboys esque, where they are going to beat these teams and then struggle as the years go on. I think the Saints could be this team that goes 8-0, 10-0, and then start losing towards the end. They got this mojo, and the Eagles are they just can't. They're not picking up the pieces at the end of the game. You know, they're not getting these lucky breaks. I think the Chiefs are stealing all these lucky ass breaks from them. So with that combined, I
yeah,
think the Saints that's one where there was a clear line flip, and it could be an overreaction from the previous week or Monday night, but that one went from -2 Eagles to -2.5 Saints. Clear line flip. I don't think there's. I mean, obviously AJ Brown is out, um, but we knew that last week too. So
yeah, and that's not enough because the
it's not.
Eagles have
He's
no
not worth four
shortage.
points.
No, they have no shortage of dogs. Like even CD Lamb with the Cowboys' reliance on him, like he's probably not worth 4 points. But
No.
I mean, and the Eagles are not reliant on any one man on offense.
Yeah. So
Like,
I think I'm gonna throw some more. It'll be the Titans, the Saints, that under. Um, I don't know. I was feeling pretty confident, and I still am. I just got to take a look at these lines one last time. I have a few plays I'm looking at, but those are the ones that I'm really looking to throw some more on. Um,
and
yeah,
bro, before you go, we gotta think of something for Monday night because I don't know, like just think about this, stew on it in the weekend. But I see a similar situation where I feel like the Jags are a live bet situation against the Bills. But give me some feedback on it.
I like the Jags, dude. I think but the Bills are getting these lucky breaks. No, now Buffalo is a very, very, very tough place to play.
it's very tough.
They're lucky it's not winter right now because that would be brutal.
They,
A team from Florida going over there in the freaking ice cold.
Jags
But
don't, and Jags like I haven't seen this team play. I know it's like there's up and downs in every game, but I've never seen a team that has completely collapsed during games for 5, 6 possessions, both sides of the ball, like the Jags. Like I remember Matt Ryan with the Colts, like he was terrible, and then he goes off for 440 against them. Like that's the type of stuff I see from them. Jags have. I love their defensive personnel. Like I like their offensive personnel, and I feel like Thomas Jr. is he. I don't know, man. I feel like he's going to be great in this league at wide receiver, but I don't know, man. Like that's why.
the Jags are weird though, man. That's always been their MO. They just cannot figure it out throughout the games. But like 2 to 3, maybe sometimes four times a year, they will have these stellar games and they'll have these crazy comebacks. I think 2 years ago against the Cowboys, they did that. Cowboys had like a 20-something lead. They came back on them, and then in the playoffs to the Chargers, or was it Week 17? I think it was in the playoffs against the Chargers. They had a crazy comeback on them. So they have that potential, but they've never been able to consistently do it during the regular season. It's been the opposite for them, actually.
And like even the Chargers one where they got the comeback, that's just an example where they didn't show up for large possessions of the game, which is insane. Like it doesn't even make sense with the game.
And
It's just
and and I think I'm gonna butcher this, but Pabuj, um, he's got a good point. The Jags are an away team, and they get up for teams. They kind of play to the level of their competition. So I think they're gonna come out looking great against the Bills, and I think they're gonna keep it close for sure. But they're definitely not a team that they want to get down. they're not a team that they should be playing from a deficit, and nor do they want to do that against the Bills. So that's why I think if they're gonna make this happen, it's gonna be a one score game. And right now the line's moving to the under, but all the money's on the under. This one could be one of. Do you think both under Monday night games are gonna go under? I don't think so.
That's why I said I wanted some feedback when I did the over under video on the Jags Bills 45 and a half. And I feel like that's going to go over. And I don't know why.
It could be a
But
sneaky. It's going to be a last drive field goal or touchdown that's going to sneak it over, or we might see it overtime. I would not be surprised if we see an overtime win here from the Jags.
yeah, man, that's why I needed some pushback on the Jags because, I just think this Bills team, I don't know they do. I feel like they've gotten a lot of lucky breaks. And if you just channel in spreads the last 2 years, I don't think they've been a good spread team.
I don't think they
my-
have. I don't think they have at all. I think there's
No,
some stats to back that up. I don't really care to get into stats,
yeah,
but like
that, but I just don't feel like they've been a great spread team, man. And you know, obviously, have I gotten it wrong on some of the Dolphins occasions? Yes, but overall, they've been a bad spread team, and I don't think that. Just look into this Bills defense a little bit, and like get at me on Discord, like maybe like Saturday nights, just like dive into it, see if I'm exaggerating. I don't know if I am. I don't know if Von Miller is what he is anymore. Like if you give me like a prime Von Miller with Rousseau, like I get it. Like you can
but
fucking
that's
throw
also the thing
press.
though, is Von Miller is the type of guy at this age that can have a fucking game against the Jags and their offensive line.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like he's not what he once was, but against a team like the Jags, like he could have damn near close to a career game.
Because
That's
the
what's
Jacks make mental errors.
exactly.
Like even against the Dolphins, they did the exact MO. And I don't know if it's conditioning. I don't know if it's mental. And then also, I feel like this Jags team, their offense line the last 2 years, my criticism is them going forward and running the ball. I feel like they're good pass blocking, but like you said, I would not roll out like Von Miller's just destroying a guy for 3 sacks. Like if Rousseau destroys someone, that's fine. Like I can deal with that. You can game plan for that. But like you said, if Von Miller goes off on someone, like that's the really only worry. Like, but yeah, look into his defense and let me know because
I'll look into it for sure. I'm gonna be looking at them all weekend long up until the game, and I'll try to get some more props in there too. I know my props didn't hit last week. That was I just chose the wrong games.
bro, that's really the issue with props. They're volatile, so
But that's why I go lower and I try to choose my plus money spots, because for everyone that was saying hammer Saquon Barkley minus 200 anytime touchdown, the dude got one taken away. I get it, but he didn't get the touchdown.
Yeah,
Minus 200 down the drain. Parlay's
that's what
gone.
I'm saying. And like, listen, like, and that's what I'm saying. It's about targeting the games and people being adults. Like, and like I said, like I said, I have no problem sharing it on Patreon as long as you and Coop don't get offended by it. But yeah, like also people need to be adults as well and understand what you said last week about the plus money. Like if we go like if we go like Elijah Jones over 2.5 again and we find some periphery option like that, yeah, I'm fine with taking a minus 110. But like you said, some of these get up to minus 150, minus 170. What are we doing? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah,
What are we
dude. That
doing?
if any chance you get to plus money on any props, do it. Now I'm not saying go turn a over 65 and a half rush yards into 85 and a half and get like don't do that.
Yeah.
Just find the general line. A lot of tight ends, I said last week, a lot of running backs. Rashad White has been plus money from week to week. I bet him week one didn't score, laid off him last week. Probably gonna take him this week. He should be plus 100, plus 120 range. I haven't checked yet. That's a good anytime touchdown. I'll probably do.
I agree, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let you go. Next week, like I want to go deep into like the line stuff. So
Yeah, I'll try to make some more time. I had some shit
you
else
just got
scrambling
me
on my
pumped
plate.
up about the Jerry Jones stuff, which I
Isn't
felt
that
like
wild, bro?
it's wild, and I believe it. I'm more on your side than other people's
I
side.
like I want to not believe it, and I also believe it at the same time, and I'm just like keeping it in the back of my head. I'm saying if you guys are gonna watch the game, it should be aired on national television. I think it's the main afternoon game. Just see how the Cowboys tune in early, see how the Cowboys come out. If they come out all fucking pumped up, it's gonna be a good game. If they just come out running and they just turn the corner, go to their sideline, might be a long ass game. That's all I'm
Hit the
saying.
like button, share the videos. All right, I'll see you, Johnny. Oh, my bad, Johnny. I cut you off. My bad on that. Yeah. And Pabouge, that was an excellent point about the Jags. That was an excellent point. And hit the like button, share the videos. The bets will be up tonight. Going to get them up. Just have to think about some things. Hit the like button, share the videos. Hope everyone's good. I kind of agree with the Lions too. I still have to think about it. Have to dive into the injury report, see if I missed anything. And what's up, Brian Webb? Great to see you, my man. Thanks for coming on, Coop. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Johnny.